Still, like I'm rusty. Like it's only been a week and I don't know how to get myself back on. What's up, guys? Happy Saturday. Welcome back to Diorama Talk. Thank you all for being here tonight, supporting the show and all the artists each week. Before we get into the artists, let's talk about some channel updates. First of all, after tonight, we've only got 2 shows left in season 2. Geek Chick and Mike Hampsey are the last 2 for the season, and then we'll be closing it out. And then a reunion of season 2 late January, something like that. We'll figure it out, all the logistics, and make an announcement. But this season is coming to an end. And so early on in the season, I put out these 2 stretch goals. One was at 100 or 750 subscribers and 1,000 subscribers. And I'm out of focus. And we're very, very close to that first stretch goal of 750 subscribers, right? 726 as of today. If we can get to that 750 by the end of season 2, I have a box of tools. These are hand tools, from cutting straight edges to sanders to rasps to files, a whole bunch of really cool tools for diorama artists starting out or entry level. I guess those are the same thing, middle to entry level, that me and 796 have put together. And then at 1,000 subscribers, I will be giving away to one lucky subscriber a brand new in the box Creality Ender 3. They should just change the name because I say that every week. Creality Ender 3, brand new in the box, that will include all the stills and G-code files I've created over the years to set you up and get you off in printing. So if we can get to those 2 milestones by the end of season 2, that's 2 more episodes after this, guys, I'll be giving those away. So if you can, share it out, push it out, share it, Instagram, YouTube, all those things to help grow this channel for the artist. And that's it. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. It seems like everybody's got a long weekend. If you were off Friday, hope you bought a lot of stuff with all the sales. It looks like there were some juicy sales out there. All right, enough about that. Let's get into it. This week, I have a special guest, Brandon, with Buried Hatchets over on Instagram. Brandon is a very old and dear friend. We met about 11 years ago at a job. We were coworkers together. And, he was the first person to enable me to start doing all this crazy stuff with YouTube. If you look back, YouTube started for me in 2011. That is around the time we met. So he was the first person inspiring me to do all this creative stuff, rekindled that creative spark inside me. Brandon's a really cool guy, got all these great ideas, does all these great things. And I thought it'd be excellent to have him on the show and talk about all those things. Plus, we've not really talking in a while. I've been trying to beg him to get on the show, and he said no every week until this week. So show Brandon a lot of love this week, guys. Let's get into it. Here's Brandon. Yo, what's up, dude?
How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, this is exciting. Yeah, that's most of that was untrue. I feel like I'm gonna slip you Venmo you 20 for the hype man spot. But yeah, that's awesome. So
yeah, he's awesome.
Excited.
I can see you.
Yeah, well, you know what I look like. You've known me long enough. Yeah, it's still me.
You look younger.
I wish. It's because my hat's on. You can't see my gray hair. That's how I keep it.
Man, it's good to see you. It's good to have you on the show. I've been asking you ever since back season 1 when I first started this, Brandon, when are you going to get on? Brandon, when are you going to get on? And every week there's crickets.
Yeah, I just assume you were joking the whole time. I'm like, I don't make dioramas. I wish I did. Like it's awesome. I love everything comic related and toy related. I love all that stuff, but I'm just that is not an area that I've been able to find myself in. So I just assumed you were just being nice. And now here I am, because it was like last minute, and I'm like, well, I can't say no. I got nothing going on, and so here I am, and I'm excited. I've peeked in over the time that you've been doing it. I used to sit in and drink a lot during your Instagram lives, and it's an awesome group of folks that you have that follow and this community seems awesome. So just to be able to look at it and be somewhat involved in it is super exciting.
It says Diorama Talk in the name, but this is for all areas of artistry and creativity. And, when I think back to a person that's kind of dabbled in a little bit of everything, Brandon, I think of you because, guys, as we talk tonight, you're going to see Brandon has done several different things. And when he's done it well. And I want to brag about that because he is a true jack of all trades. He will try and learn anything new. And I think that's his secret, really, his thing, right, is trying something new and keeps him sharp. But before we get into that, Brandon, my old mentor, my old boss, when he first interviewed me at my current location, asked me a question during my interview, and it's a question that's always stay with me. And I bring that up this time because you know this gentleman. But give me your 30-second elevator pitch of who you are, what you do.
Oh man, I feel like I need a timer to go, but I'll start with the most important things up front. I am a husband to my beautiful wife, Nicole. I am a father to my beautiful daughter, Ava. And I have 2 dogs. So family is kind of my main thing. Outside of that, I've been in tech for, well, a long time now. In some capacity, I kind of worked my way in. I have an associate's degree in graphic design, and I have a bachelor's degree in elementary education, which I sometimes use one of those part of it. So then I kind of weaseled my way out of teaching. I did a whole bunch of crazy jobs. I was a Segway tour guide. I worked for Nielsen, the TV ratings company, and installed stuff in people's homes. All sorts of cool stuff. And then slowly worked my way into the tech industry when I moved into the Charleston area, and loved it. And that's where I am as my day job. My alter ego is a tech guy. And then outside of that, I love it when people call me a creative or an artist or something like that. I have a hard time calling it myself. I think most artists do, trying to own that more. But so I do a little bit of everything. I make shirts and merch and fun stuff. And then I also kind of tie that into things like the axes. Obviously I restore vintage and classic axes, hatchets, that sort of thing. And then also I just started making dog leashes because I got a new dog and I was kind of inspired to do that. And he has his own Instagram account as well. It's better than my Instagram account. It's more active. And photography has always been a passion. Photography and design. Those are the 2 things that kind of define my kind of artistic endeavors. I always try to draw, but then, you share stuff with me and I share stuff with you. And I'm like, I'm not going to draw anymore. I'm good. Cause Michael just rip off some drawing and I'm like, good gosh. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it about me. And I don't know. If I missed anything.
Yeah, I don't know if you missed anything, but that's well over 30 seconds. I would tell you that.
I said to start the timer. I don't know. I don't have a timer. I don't know what to tell you.
No, that's cool, man. And, that's all accurate. And I would say, you were a big inspiration to me to getting social, to sharing, right? You were encouragement. And I was hoping I could do the same for you. But, a lot of times, like, we were very hesitant to post. One of the reasons why I am High School Creations and not my name on Instagram is because I was very shy in sharing my work. And I'm open about that now. But if it's one thing I can just say to the community is, don't be shy, get it out there. This is a great community. If someone's not great to you, just, move on, right? It's going to happen. But there is a ton of great people in this community. And a lot of those folks are here tonight. And I want to give them a shout out. So we're going to run through the daily roster or weekly roster. I don't know what it is. We're going to run through, guys, and say what's up. So Lucky Butter was the first one here tonight. I think Lucky Butter was commenting at like 5 this afternoon. So thank you, Berserk. You were so close to being first by like 2 hours. But Lucky Butter, Berserk, what's up? Toy Malarkey, what's going on? Siren Studios, what's up? What's up? Geeker Queen, how are you? Thanks for joining the Instagram live earlier tonight. Josh Smith, what's up? The Chamba, the man himself, what's up? I need to go get my next 2 books of Tech On. Chamba does the Avengers Tech On comic, the Inside, and he's got a few covers. Really, really amazing artist. Loki, what's up? Bearded Builds, what's going on? Jimmy Rich, 796 Studios, what's up, fellow enabler? Who is the sexiest enabler? That's a great question. I'm going to say it's Kevin and his onesie. Inside joke there. Yo, what's up from New York Figure Fanatics? What's up, dude? Oh, is this 796? Are you talking about me? Duh, I'm the sexiest? I don't think so. Marcus Yee, what's up? Diorama Project was on last week, guys. If you missed that episode, it is on YouTube. Go check it out. Dilly, it was beers and cigars last week. It was a good time. Go check it out. Ride with us. What's up? How are you? Star Marvel, what is up, dude? Good to see you. DJ Omega Supreme, what's going on? Cerebral Deep, what's up, dude? We got a bunch of OG regulars coming through tonight. Another enabler. What's up, Kev? Toying around. What's up? You sure it's not Dump 30? Let's see who else is in here. Toy Malarkey. All right, I think we're caught up. Why do we have to break this? I mean, hold on. I don't know, Brandon. You don't know this, but or maybe you do. But I commissioned Adam Gonzalez. He's a great Instagram artist to do an Enablers edition, Thundercats edition, and so he made this for us. And Kevin is back here in the onesie, and that's the onesie I'm referring to. The very tight onesie.
Yeah.
Or it's a reverse V. I don't know. Anyway, what's up, everybody? Happy Saturday night. Thank everybody for coming out, hanging out. Oh, Mike is the sexiest enabler. Woo! Got some points there. All right. Thank you all. I think you're right. This was really good. Yeah, I would agree. You know, admittedly, I'm going to call you out, Brandon. Brandon was nervous about coming on tonight, and I had to assure him that, you know, at least the folks that join our live tonight, the Diorama Talk community and those from Instagram, are a really great group of folks. There's not ever really any negativity here, and if it is, it's just, you know, comic relief. It's not real. So, and I think it's been a very positive community, at least from my experience. So, Brandon, you're in good hands tonight. Plus, we have moderators. You know, if Kev or Mario are willing, they can just kick anybody out at will. You have my permission. So, anyway, thank you all for coming out tonight. Like I was saying before, we got 2 episodes left, and then season 2 is closed out, and then we'll have a reunion show hosted by the Enablers. I just made that up, but I think that's going to be a thing. The Enablers will host the reunion show. All right, Brandon. It has been so me and Brandon go way back. I talked about this before. Almost 11 years now. We started working together at a tech company here in Charleston, small startup. And, you know, our friendship blossomed from there. Brandon, I might let you tell a few of these stories because you're better at talking than I am.
Oh,
but, you know, we used to like enable ourselves. And I use the word enabler, but we used to enable, or how would you say it? There was like themes like every week of something like we'd be buying, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What were some of the first things, like RC cars? Were you there for the RC cars?
Yeah, there's RC cars. I was gonna say the Nerf guns and the Nerf gun modding was like a big thing. Oh, right. Our company that we worked at had, you know, was the typical startup culture, you know, kegs in the kitchen, and everyone had Nerf guns, and of course, like, you had to mod them. You had to, you know, it couldn't just have a Nerf gun. So it went from like, you know, finding these websites where we can mod the Nerf guns to like, oh, well, this spring is this big, so like let's just go to Lowe's and get like the highest, you know, like poundage spring we can get, and firing these things. And yeah, it got a little out of hand. They had to stop. Someone built the do you remember the bicycle pump with like a PVC tube and pressure buildup, and they were firing Nerf darts across the office, and it got dangerous. But yeah, there was RC cars, RC boats, pipes was a thing for a while. We got real big into like tobacco pipes. Do you remember?
Oh, right, I forgot all about that.
We had
the liquor cabinet, then we had the humidor, and then we had our pipes lined up. And this is at work, guys. This was at work.
Yeah, so I think that was definitely a big for a while. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of that. I mean, it was just whatever it was, and then it progressively got bigger. I think the big thing, well, one of the big things was off-roading. There was a group of us from work that was into off-roading, so like our trucks we just kept bolting pieces onto them. Yeah, trucks, drones, camping equipment,
photography, videos, like
photography, video.
GoPros.
Yeah, GoPro. Like when GoPros were first kind of like hitting, I still have it, like this knockoff GoPro. It was just terrible. The Swan. It was terrible. Swan HD. I don't know what the HD stood for. It didn't mean high definition, that's for sure. But whatever. It got the job done.
Right, but we are researching things, sharing with each other, like getting someone to buy something. Like it was crazy because I feel like every month there was something new. And but what stuck with me anyway was like, when we started getting into GoPros and off-roading and how we presented that or wanted to present it right to the community through YouTube. I first started my YouTube in 2011, and a lot of that was from you. I wasn't lying in the intro. A lot of that was started from you. My photography experience was from you. My first camera is what you told my wife to get me, right? The A6000, which I still use now as my overhead cam.
Yeah.
And so a lot of credit goes to you. Actually, some of my first Instagram post was the Inktober that we did. What was that, like 2017? And that challenge, just posting every day, was super challenging and stressful, trying to get a drawing out that for us, like we want to do our best. We just want to put something out there, and it just made it stressful.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that I was big on. I love shooting film. I love shooting, taking photos, and but I amass like massive amounts of video, and then it sits. I think for me that's the hard part is because I would spend so much time trying to get it perfect and making a video look perfect. And, like I'm not Scorsese or and it's a video of off-roading, you know what I mean? Like, but we had such a good time making it and kind of like, feeding off of each other and creating those things. Even if it was just like, one output or two output of things that we actually like took to completion. But I think each of those things kind of, progressed and grew. Like I said, photography has probably been more where I have taken things further. I've sold some prints and stuff like that, and I love doing it. And I've had the I guess that's probably one of the places where I got to use my my education degree is like helping people. I helped you, I contributed to you learning a little bit along the way, and I have a couple of friends that I helped get into photography and have become photographers and do child photography and portraits and stuff like that. So that's been really fun for me. I've always enjoyed doing that, and then feeding off of someone, watching you as I help you and we do it together, and then seeing you get better at it than I am, and or not everywhere, certain things you do, and I'm like, dang, like how did Mike do that? Like I'm like I showed him this piece of it. How did you do that so well? But that's exciting, right? And then that inspires me to do a little bit more and probably buy a new lens or spend some more money as we do.
Yeah, under the covers, we were talking about this backstage. I think the biggest problem we have is we just like to buy stuff. So whatever, because we were talking about how we got into camping and the off-roading and all the things we kept getting into was just like all these things that had a lot of accessories, and I like accessories, and or tools, right? Or tools. I remember our shops transformed from like fixing our vehicles and upgrading our vehicles to now it's like a shop for dioramas and stuff like that. So it's funny how it's evolved, but yet it's still very focused on a lot of that stuff. Like the key elements to me, like capturing the work that I do, presenting on YouTube is still the same. I still have those off-road videos, those camping videos. Guys, you don't want to go check these out. They're terrible, but people are still looking at them and commenting. Like I think on one, like I reviewed my mom's like Dodge Challenger, and I said how it was insane. I said it was an insane vehicle, and it's only a V6, and like people still call me out for that. But I don't care. It's a video out there that's going to be out there forever. But I like shooting video. I like editing it. It doesn't have to be good. I had fun doing it. And I think that's the big thing behind, everything that we've done. And, you've been very much an inspiration from just like, not just like showing me, but also like being my support when I'm not sure about something. How many times have I hit you up, be like, hey, what do you think about this? Or, what's your thoughts on doing this? Like you're always been, bumper is probably a bad word, but something that I bumped off somebody that I felt very confident in what your opinion was.
Yeah. And man, I've told you numerous times, like to see you, like, I think one of the hardest things that I think people like you and I are, and probably most of the people here is finding time and making time, I guess, making time or however you want to call it. You know, there's a lot of ways to say it, but the idea of like, you know, I said, the first thing about me is my family comes first. And that makes things difficult, right? When you want to put your family first, it's hard to find that balance. And I think you do an excellent job of it. I know your family and I know, yeah, I mean, it's difficult, right? I'm not saying it's easy, but you do the best that you can and you balance it so well. And to see what you do and to know your family is, I look at that and say, all right, I got to do more because Mike's able to do this. I see what he's doing, and your family's bigger than mine, man. I mean, I only got one little one that I got to keep an eye on. And, but yeah, I mean, it's that idea of just, finding that balance, but pushing yourself along the way. And you've always been good at that. And you've been supportive. Maybe that's why I don't message you as much. Cause then I feel guilty. Cause I know like you gotta, I'm like, what have I done recently? What have I done lately? I don't even know. I've been on hiatus with the hatchets. Like the summer's too hot in my garage and I go camping every weekend. So that's made it tough, but it's now cold in New York where I am outside of Buffalo. And so we'll be grinding metal in the garage before long. And that's exciting too. So that's my fun time. Put some music on and grind some metal.
Crack some cans. Yeah, it is very difficult. And I think, a lot of us in the community are going to struggle with this. And it's a balance, whether you're balancing family or work or life or stress, whatever it is that you're balancing, you have to balance it right. And that's why it's called balancing, right? If you go too deep into one, another part is going to suffer. And I've been through each one of those. I've tried to play each one really good. And every time I've noticed like one will spike, but the other is going to suffer. So you have to find that balance, right? Balance. Yeah. And it is difficult. It is difficult, especially if you're trying to play the social media game because you want your work to be seen, or you're trying to be, that awesome, dad to 2 kids. And I was going to say is like, when you add a second kid, it's not like you're just doubling the work capacity. I can't explain it, but it's like, it's an explosion. Yeah. And, it just made it difficult. Like, I've not been able to get out and build, the past 6 weeks. I had some stuff change at work. It's getting to the holiday season, birthdays and all this stuff. But I managed to get out here the past couple of days and I was able to enjoy that with my son a little bit. He got out with some of the detailing bricks and stuff. Mario, I got him using your brush. It was awesome. It was probably the best 2 days that I've had in a very long time. And unfortunately, those was so funny.
I'm reading something. I'm reading Bearded Bills. It's hiding in the closet, dude.
Love it. But it's it becomes very difficult. But it's for fun, right? And that's what you got to remember. Unless you're doing this, full time. This for me is fun, and I try to keep it fun. And I don't know where I'm going with that anymore.
Yep. I mean, I get you. Like I think that's one of the things that's interesting. Like, I started doing the axes during this whole COVID thing. Right. And just kind of being in my house. I'm like, I got to figure out something to do with my hands. And I think especially working in tech all day and you're sitting at a desk and, it's great. I love my job. I get to work from home and, I get to Forge and Fire is awesome. That show, I go deep in that show. I have not forged anything yet. It's, I don't have any of the equipment or the room, but maybe one day. But I started doing it and, I'm like, I'll throw some of these up on Etsy or whatever. And there's been great response, but I think I've only sold like 3 or 4. Everything I've listed, I've sold, but I've actually spent more time. I had a buddy's dad, a buddy of mine, his father-in-law wanted an axe that was his father's redone. And so I sunk like 80 hours into it. And I was creating something that, he told me afterwards, like, he's like, his wife told me, like, I'd never seen my dad cry. And he was like tearing up. And I'm like, well, what's better than that? You know what I mean? Like, it's things like that, it was a lot of time to put into it. And I made the time to do it. And I appreciate it. And I learned a lot, right? Because you put in the time on something like that and you're going to pick up things that you learn and that has value outside of, what you might get paid for it, which is, I think, important.
So while we're on the topic of some of your recent builds. You mind if we share your Instagram account and show some of these off? Talk about them?
Yeah, I mean they're from last year, most of them, but yeah, go ahead and pull it up.
Yeah.
I did shoot a video today of me chopping up a bunch of pumpkins with an axe because it's it's no longer fall. It's snowing here and the deer need to eat, so we just chopped up the pumpkins and chucked them over the fence.
Where did that video go?
It's in my phone. It just happened today, man. Like, yell at me in 6 weeks when I haven't posted it yet.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's get it here. Let's share some of. So Brandon goes by, and you'll see it in the description below. Buried hatchets. I think this is one of a couple different Instagrams, but this one is the one we're going to talk about here. And you guys can see this, right? Let me make it a little bigger here.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so Brandon was talking about it. He restores. Actually, Brandon, I'll let you tell him what you do.
Yeah. So I don't honestly, I don't even, I can tell you, I guess it started, I had this little, camp hatchet that was my dad's, and it was just like totally beat up. And I remember from when I was a kid, like I remember my dad like hammering nails with it, with the pole in like my backyard. And I'm like, it just had always been around. And so during COVID, I was like, I'm gonna, that one right there with the little red ring on it, up a little bit. That one, far left. Yeah. So this was like my dad's, and it was super beat up and kind of a mess. So I just, sunk some, oh no, that's not it. I lied. It looks like that one though. It's a integrated handle, but, so I started cleaning that up, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. So then I started learning more about it, and learned a lot, and then just started kind of diving into it. And it's interesting, I would say the community somewhat parallels with what you all have here, in that, you got a lot of really knowledgeable people, a lot of people who are really interested in like the history of them. Some people are just interested in, grinding metal, which I think is kind of, I kind of, land somewhere in the middle of that. But it's a great community. So like I'll post something, and then only Mike comments on it apparently, but other people will comment on it, and be like, oh, this is this kind of axe, and you start to learn a lot about it. And here, like that was if you went back to that last one, those were over. Sorry. Yeah, no, you're good. That was my grandfather's voice. So you can see this is Red Label Abrasives made a comment on there, and was kind of asking like how I'm using these, because they're a bunch of those are Red Labels. And so I, responded back, and they responded, and that was like, they just reached out to me, they didn't, it's not like I reached out to them and said, hey, what's the best way to use these or anything like that. And they pretty much told me, this was obviously early on, they're like, well, we probably wouldn't use that one for that, but all right, you can do whatever you want. You're just going to burn through it quick and buy more from us, whatever. But it's just cool that they reached out and were supportive about it, and threw a comment out there. And I learned a lot about the tools that you really don't need a lot of tools. I'm sure similar here is, you can get started with the minimum, right? It doesn't take every fancy tool. I know Mike's got a lot of fancy tools. I'm very jealous of all of Mike's tools. But you don't need all of them, at least not to get started, right? Maybe to get, to that level that you level up along the way. And that's what I've done with the tools that I use here too, and you learn about the wood that's used in the or half of and everything, polishing metal, and so it's just been a really fun kind of trip, kind of learning all this stuff. There it is. That's the original right there. So that was my dad's. Use it as a hammer. You're not supposed to hammer with the back of your axes or hatchets, for anyone out there. Most of them are not hardened steel on the pole. They call that the back of the axe there. And see, I put a little metal stamp on that with a tombstone and the BH buried hatchets on there. And this one wasn't even polished the way that I can polish them now. I go up to 3,000 to 6,000 grit sandpaper, and you can really make them shine. I just didn't take a lot of the pitting out of that one, but yeah. So, it's been just kind of fun to learn and have this as like a, something to put time and passion into. And, it's fun. Like I said, I like to do stuff with my hands. Like and he makes sharp stuff. Like this thing here will cut through this phone book in just a second. And who has a phone book? I don't know. Someone sent it to me. I was like, I'm not going to read this thing. Let me just cut some paper.
What is a phone book?
Right? Like this guy doesn't have the internet. What a jerk.
Oh, that is pretty sharp.
Yeah. And then it'll push right through the corner.
I think I made a few comments. Oh, it's actually here.
Yeah.
I need one of these to start, cutting some diorama foam.
Yeah.
Just cutting the corner off that book like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, but, same picture.
Yeah. And it's interesting too. Like I'm sure that I feel like in a lot of things that, you kind of go down the rabbit hole of and really start to develop a passion for, it's interesting that you find a lot of people, it sometimes feels like everyone's doing it, like you're like, hey, I just learned about this. Like, where all these people come from that were doing it. Like, I feel like when I first started, I could buy, like axe heads on eBay for next like dimes. It was so cheap. And then all of a sudden they were just like going crazy for how much people were trying to sell them for. And I don't think it's nearly as popular as it seems once you're involved into it. You're just in that world, and it seems more, prevalent when you're in that world. You start seeing it's like when you buy a new car and you see that car everywhere, like, oh man, everyone has this car. It's just like, no, you just bought it and that's all you're looking at. So that's why you see them everywhere.
Speaking of new cars, how's that F-150 treating you?
It's a beaut, man. It's that's the camper puller, and I love it. So Mike has the same truck as I do, and by that I mean Mike bought that truck like years ago, and I rode around in it, and then I had to buy myself one like the same year, but like 5 years later.
Mario, that's points. That's like 20,000 points, dude. I might win for the year on that one. And I got him to say it live. Where's Mario? That was this year, wasn't it?
What's that? Me buying it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bought it.
You came down here. What, July or June?
No, it was April.
Was it
late April, May? I don't know, man. It was. We went down and we took. So I bought a camper, like everyone did, as another thing that I got into that everyone was into. COVID, everyone's like, oh, I got to get a camper because you can't get COVID if you're in a camper, and that's not true. But yeah, so I took a little camper, and yeah, man, making it by hand is wild. The one thing I to get off topic or back on this topic for a second, the one thing that I've been really excited about with the axe is that I feel like a lot of folks don't do in the restoration thing, and it's probably because it's maybe frowned upon. I don't really know, and I don't really care, but is kind of reshaping some of these axe heads, which is kind of the more creative side of it, right? So taking an axe head that was designed to do one thing and then kind of chopping it up and reshaping it, grinding it, and turning it into something different. So Mike mentioned before, like backpacking is something that he got into that I was just like, oh man, that sounds awesome. He's out, going into, where was it that you were going? That gorge or
Linville Gorge. It's in North Carolina. Yep.
Yeah. So he came back with all these great pictures and stories from hiking the Linville Gorge. And I think he almost died a little bit.
Yeah, I fell down the side of a mountain with a 40-pound pack on my bag. And like, I was all scorpioned up on a tree. Somebody had to come pick me up.
So he had gotten into that, and then that turned into us actually getting into bike packing together, which we did literally once, but we bought gear to do it for a lifetime. But and I got pictures if we want to show some of those too. But
yeah, definitely.
So I don't know what was so yeah, to get kind of like back into like tying all of that together. So he kind of, inspired me to get into more backpacking stuff and traveling lighter so you don't scorpion yourself against a tree in a gorge. And so I started, that was part of this whole axe thing too, is I want a really nice axe for when I go backpacking. Because since I moved back up to New York, I do I've been working on the Adirondack 46. There's 46 high peaks in New York State up in the Adirondacks. And if you hike all of them, you get like a sticker and a patch, which is really all you need. It's all you need to give me to motivate me to do anything is a sticker and a patch. And but I'm like, I want an axe that kind of meets all these needs. I want to be able to like carve with it. I want it to be lightweight. So this was like an initial kind of attempt at that. This kind of axe it's not really for cutting. So it was more of a showpiece than anything, but learning how to shape that. So you see that little curve at the front of it that wasn't there initially. I just took a bunch of material out with basically grinding and using a cutting wheel on a grinder, and just seeing what I could make, and it's interesting too, trying to like not overheat it, because if it overheats, it loses the temper. Folks who have watched Forged in Fire know all about that sort of stuff. Like, you overheat that edge and then it's not going to hold the edge anymore. And I don't have the ability to reforge and all that sort of stuff. So, but it kind of came from that idea of like backpacking and having something that's like custom to me that I can use, that meets my needs. And then other people, it may meet their needs too. So.
That's dope. And I still need to get one from you, because like, even though I'm not backpacking right now, the fact is I still have all the gear. I plan on doing it again.
Yeah.
Once my kids are older, especially my son, I want to get back out there. You remember when we were into off-roading, like we wanted the rooftop tents and we wanted to do all that kind of camping stuff with our SUVs. Yep. I think one time we were actually going to go up to, I forget the name of it, the last place, and it got stormed out. And it was like our last hoorah we were going to do it with. But, I want to get back into some of that stuff. And hopefully, I can get up to New York and do some of those hikes with you eventually too.
Absolutely, man. I love it. And to kind of tie and cross over a little bit further here, and Mike and I have talked about this. I got myself a little package from eBay of sledge heads, hammer heads. And what I'm hoping to do at some point is polish one up, send it down, and see if we can give it a little laser Mjolnir kind of vibe to it, and then build like a neat little handle for it. And we have to rip an arm off a Groot somewhere and give it a handle. But we could do some cool stuff with that. Or I guess that's Stormbreaker. I don't know if I can weld two together and polish that up. Maybe we can make that happen too. But we'll start with the sledgehammer to start.
Yeah. I'll go get Stormbreaker if you want me to. It's right over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, when did we start talking about that? That was earlier this year, I guess, when I got the laser. But yeah, I think that'd be a fun project to do. So I'm just waiting on you to ship me a hammerhead.
Yep. Yeah, we'll work on that.
Cool. So here, I don't know, is this like some sort of acid base? Oh, soaking in vinegar.
Which is an acid. So you're right. You're not wrong.
I didn't know I wasn't wrong.
Wait, is it a base? I never remember. It's an acid, right? Yeah, vinegar's an acid, I think. Someone in the chat knows the right answer to this.
Maybe. If anybody, it's going to be Oilers. And by the way, if you're not following Oilers, go check out Oilers. He is a talented diorama guy. Probably the most realistic looking dioramas that you will find. Inspiration to the craft. Cool. Yeah, these are the pits you were talking about, right?
Yeah. So, in some of these, I like to take them to that mirror polish and make them real shiny. But something like this, so this is a Luth hardware company, and there's like a whole interesting story behind some of these axe heads that you kind of dig into. Is from like the late 1800s. It was actually made in New York, and it's like if I can't remember off the top of my head, like Isaiah Blood, I think was the name of. Which is just an awesome name to have if you're like making axes. Isaiah Blood, you kidding me? And that company made it, and then it was sold by Luth Hardware Company, which is I think based out of Des Moines. So it has this kind of, there it is, vinegar is an acid. I thought so. It has some history, so you don't want to take all that off. You don't want to throw away all that history. And you can't recreate a patina like this, right? I mean, maybe you could. The way that you do with your dioramas, the way you can make things look aged so nicely, but to do it on, a piece of metal like this is dang near impossible. And once you lose that stamping, it's gone. So some of these you just kind of, I blackened this. I used a little bit of gun bluing, and I forget what else I used to treat it to kind of bring out like that dark black look to it and keep some of the original look. 'Cause it's just not, you don't want to lose all that history.
Yeah, right. I mean, history. You definitely don't want to lose that, especially it looks good too. It looks cool. It's definitely a cool look for a blade. Um, this one looks pretty rough, huh?
It's amazing what people do to hold they just don't want to buy a new axe handle. They just don't want to do it. So they just put like 18 nails in it. I was actually this summer, when I was camping, we were pulling up a tree stump so we could get a camper into a certain spot. And this guy's like, hey, here's an axe. I had this double bit axe and we're using it. And of course the head's just like shimmying off of it because it wasn't hung properly. And so this other guy walks over and he just has this like fistful of nails. And I'm like, please don't do this. Because it's just some poor guy like me one day is going to have to pull all these nails out and grind all this and use a drill and swear and do all sorts of stuff because it's so frustrating. But he did it. And we ended up breaking the half of the axe anyway. So it has to be rehung anyhow. So,
well, you tried.
I tried to educate.
So one of the things I've been most amazed by is some of these. Here's your customs, but your mirror finishes on some of these. Like, it's just amazing to me the process, because it's not an easy process. There's many steps to this, right? So, for example, this one, like, how many hours does it take to get to this stage?
How many hours?
I don't know, time wise.
Yeah. I would say probably 15 on this one was probably like 15 to 20 hours to get here, and I still wouldn't consider that finished.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's getting pretty close.
This is a cool design.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the ones I was out back smashing pumpkins with today. Yeah.
Smashing or like dicing?
I did a little bit of both. My daughter was very excited. I was like, do you want me to cut it or you want me to smash it? And she's like, smash it.
How many pumpkins did you buy?
Oh, we had a lot of pumpkins, man. We had like probably like 10 pumpkins, maybe.
Wow.
We live in the country, you gotta show up, show off.
I only bought like 2, and they were rotten like 2 days into having them. That's cool. I like the design. It looks cool. This is definitely like, so when we were back in the day, when we were into this, there was a company out of Sweden that made a nice axe, and a lot of it was the look, but also the steel that it was made with. Right. This looks like one of those that I like to carry as a hiking hatchet.
Yeah. I always screw up their name. I know exactly you're talking Grand's Fork Han, whatever that one is. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely, it's interesting too in, following folks that are into this. There's definitely a big difference in style of axes, obviously, but also the metal that's used. And it varies greatly in the quality and all that sort of stuff. I mean, there are people who find these axes that are like ridiculous condition, well kept, and have an awesome stamp on them from some brand that's just historic and all that sort of stuff, and they're worth a ton in themselves. I haven't really gotten into that because this is where I spend my time, is working on them, and that's like the creative pursuit of it to me, versus just like hunting around antique shops, which can be fun, but I just don't have the time to do that. I'm going to spend my time doing this part of it. The more creative aspect of it is where I like to invest that time.
Right. And these Grand Ford axes from Sweden, they go for like a couple $100, right? But you can come in with a solid, base and make something that's worthy of a camping hatchet or a walking hatchet. I don't know how much you're sell for, but I think it's comparable.
Yeah, for sure. I don't go crazy with my prices at all. I think most of them are sold around like $50-$60, which is probably way undervaluing my time, which is part of it, right? Like when you're learning a new craft, I feel like you have to make up for it somewhere. You're either going to sell them for exactly, and this is my personal opinion, I think everyone has a different approach to it, but I can either charge my hourly rate and try to sell that axe for $200 and then never sell it, or sell it for what I think it would be worth if I got it done in the time that a professional would take to do it. And knowing that that's my goal, right? Every one of those that I work on is taking time off the next axe, right? Because I'm learning things that are going to speed up the process moving forward. And then, I can create and I can restore faster, but still give that same level of quality because I'm getting better at it and putting in that 10,000 hours or whatever you want to call it, if that's a real thing or not. But you're putting in that time. So, I'm not going to charge this guy now for that time, knowing that down the road, the next guy is going to get a better deal because I'm better and faster at it. That's my personal opinion before.
Yeah, but some of that's facts, right? Because as you grow, you learn things, right? And you can't foresee you knowing something more on the next build, right? But yeah, Marcus G's asking if he ever attempted a tomahawk.
I have not. There's definitely, that's one of the things I want to explore maybe this year is different style, like getting more into different styles and recreating different styles with the axes that I can get. And then I'm sure, I don't know if it's big where everyone else is, but I think it is everywhere, is like the whole axe throwing phenomenon, like get drunk and throw axes, because it seems like a great idea. I mean, I do it in my backyard, but it's a different story. I don't have to have insurance for it. I don't know how these places get insurance, but it's interesting because I've had a couple people reach out to me who are in like leagues and stuff in the area, and they want to have their axes sharpened. They don't have the tools to do it, but I do. It's not really what I want to do. But what I could charge for it and the time it takes me to do it, it's a nice little like add-on to what I'm capable of doing. Plus, again, it makes me faster at sharpening an axe and getting my edges right and all that sort of stuff. Because you learn quick that there's certain, angles that you need to have in your bit, so that, it splits wood properly. I can make one that's wicked sharp and will cut through anything, but it won't cut wood because it's not shaped properly. So you have to have it angled in a way that actually splits the wood. So I like mine to be functional and sharp. I don't know.
It sounds like a great networking, though. If you can get in with these axe throwers, right? It's a growing phenomenon. It sounds like it'd be a great way to get your name out there as well, right?
Yeah, definitely.
This is also something cool. I like how you're doing this design on the outside here.
Yeah, so this axe was just not repairable. I would never sell this to someone. The eye, it was so thick, if you actually hit it on a hardwood, you'd probably just break the axe head, and I would never sell anything like that. I mean, some people just want to show off the axe, but I don't know, right? I'm not going to sell it to someone. It's an axe. It's meant to cut stuff. And if I sold it to someone assuming that they're going to hang it on their wall and then they, break it on their first swing and it flings up and hits them or something, I'd feel awful. But yeah, doing some cool stuff with I got a really, high speed rotary tool that I think the next one's a little bit different. I think I was just messing around on these two. Yeah, switch over. No, that's just a close up. But I did another kind of design, like almost like a wood grain pattern. And that's something that I would do on an axe head that doesn't have any history to it. That's just kind of for fun, and give it a different look and a different kind of vibe to it. And that's, again, the creativity portion of it. If you go up to the top right one, yeah, that's a full, that one. Yep. That's a full size axe. And this was the one that I was talking about. That was my buddy's father-in-law that I did for Father's Day for him. So it had a split. The axe handle was split, so I put a new one, I hung it on a new handle, but I wanted to keep the age on it, so I stained it, put a little red for fashion. It does have a function too. If you ever wonder why like axes have color on the end of them, it's so that when it's laying in the grass, when you're cutting wood and you throw it down, it's easy to see, so you don't lose it. But yeah, that's the one I had redone for him, and I did a full polish on it. So
I never knew why an axe had a color to the end of it. That makes perfect sense. The only axe I ever had was the zombie killing axe I had on the Xterra.
That was a zombie killing machine.
Dude, did I ever tell you about the time me and Lauren were going camping and I was driving the Xterra and we went through a roadblock in the middle of nowhere. There was all these sheriffs. I guess there was like this big bust of something. So they were stopping everybody and talking to him. And he was like, rolled down the window. He said, how you guys doing? I was like, good. Taking my wife camping. It's first time camping. He goes, you going to be doing a lot of zombie slaying out there? And I was like, yeah, maybe. But, I carried the shovel and the axe on the top of my car, and they were painted like lime green. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if we have any pictures of that, but we should show that tonight if we can.
Oh, I'm sure I got pictures.
But for a long time, many years, about 5 years, I carried an axe and a shovel on top of my car. So I was always ready to go.
You always think about how cool it looks when you're just driving around, but you never think what it's going to look like when you're getting pulled over.
No, you're getting pulled over, and like he's like, so do you have any weapons in the car? And I'm like no. He said, what did he say? Weapons of mass destruction. And I was like, no weapons of mass destruction. I mean, I had like a shotgun and stuff, so I had to tell him about that. But like, it was super awkward. It's like, okay, this guy's already got an axe. He's a zombie. I had the big zombie slayer sticker on the side of the vehicle. Then I had to tell him I have like guns in the car. It was very awkward. But he let me go. Yoko, what's up, Yoko? But yeah, we should definitely share some of that stuff, some off-roading experience. Yeah. Thanks for letting me share your Instagram. I think it's very different from what we've had on the channel before. A lot of it's been dioramas, but we've had comic book artists, we've had artists, action figure customizers. This is the first we've had someone more or less I'm gonna call a fabricator, because you're shining, you're grinding, you're putting in a lot of hard work and sweat into these axes, and it's really cool to see. It's a different type of artistry, but as you can tell, guys, this is stemming from a lot of the same stuff. This is conversations me and Brandon had as desk mates at a job, and just inspiring each other and like egging each other on to do something and take it to the extreme in some cases. Like when I showed up with that drone, you remember when I bought we're talking about doing drones and stuff. We're buying like these, $50, $100 drones. I walk in with like a case. What was it? DJI 3, like,
the Phantom
$100 drone, like Phantom 3.
So, but the best part is Mike doesn't just go buy a drone. He finds like a production company that's using the drone for like shooting like video, high quality video and stuff in the Charleston area, and they're upgrading their equipment. So he goes in, and it comes in this like beautiful box, and it's got all the extra batteries, and they give him a class on it. And if you fast forward, like there's so many little jumps in this story, but Mike buys this thing. He flies it a handful of times. We think it's going to be great. Somehow it ends up being in my possession. I never actually spent any money on it. It was purchased from Mike. It ended up in my possession. I then went and flew it over my father-in-law's house. It crashed it into their neighbor's house, not my neighbor. And I had to climb up on the roof and get it. And then I ended up selling it for like $200 on Craigslist.
That's not the first time it crashed during you piloting it. We crashed it in a ditch in Francis Marion National Forest, if I remember correctly.
That is correct. I actually have a picture of the drone pre-crash on that day when we were in Francis Marion off-roading and taking pictures. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I think to your point too, actually two things you made me think of in saying those things is one, it's interesting how like-minded people tend to group together. Like iRobot style, you put a bunch of androids in a warehouse together. They all clump together because they have like that community thing, right? You were wondering where I was going to go with that, so was I. But like the idea of like, we were kind of in this warehouse at our company. I almost said the name of it. I'm not going to say the name of it. This company we worked at back in the day, but there was lots of people that worked there, and lots of, you would think right off the rip, like similarly minded people, we're all tech people, we're all into that sort of world. But like I was on a team, like a production support technical team. At that time, Mike was in our IT, like leading our IT team and the IT of all of our company. And somehow we kind of just like gravitated to one another. Right? Thankfully, we ended up working on the same team together later on. But, that whole thing kind of started before then. And then like our boss at the time, one of our bosses, he kind of got pulled into that gravitation as well. And we, dragged him in, or he dragged us in. It didn't really matter, right? We were all kind of in it together and enabling one another to kind of grow these passions that we were finding. But it was like we were kind of all on the same wavelength. And I'm sure you see that in what your community does. You make something, at least this is what I've experienced, is you make something, and like before you even post it on Instagram, someone else made something that looks, you're like, oh, how did you, like, where did you come up with that? Like, were we like talking about it before? And we, I don't remember that or what, but it's just kind of like you start vibrating at the same frequency or some weird stuff like that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting, especially when you get in a group and, you start vibing with certain people. And then it's interesting to see, what you guys get interested in and what changes and just all the different rabbit holes of stuff that, you ventured down together. And, one of the things I want to bring up is like, we're talking about our boss, how he took us to get certified in off-road training at URA National Forest, right?
Yeah.
So we took our rigs that we built and we went and got certified in off-roading, and we were like driving over pillars that are like 10 feet in the air. I'm talking about like telephone poles, 2 of them, driving your vehicles over, or like doing this. It's like an advanced course that, just like Range Rover would had, right, to test their vehicles. That exact same course that we're going over. Do you remember the free fall where we actually went off road and you take your vehicle, you go all the way up the steep hill, and then you just free fall backwards? They say,
terrible.
Dude, let your feet off the pedals, keep your hands off the wheel and just go back. And like you drop like 20 feet in your vehicle down this hill, this descent. Anyway.
What's great. So that like that facility and that training course, I think did our boss give us that for Christmas, like a Christmas gift?
Something like that.
But they actually trained like special forces because it was right near Fayetteville, and it was at Fort Hood, maybe. I never remember what's over there, but Fayetteville has an army base, and they would bring in these special forces operators and teach them how to drive off road, how to use like any vehicle, just jump in a vehicle. Like, if they're in, overseas and they're, it's a left or right hand drive vehicle, they need to know how to drive it, just be able to jump in and drive and be safe and do whatever they need to do. And so they trained them to do that. And then we're there like a bunch of, driving around. Actually, let me share my screen. I got some of those pictures right here.
I remember the first thing the instructor guy said, he like stuck his head in my door and he's like, "Is there a reason you don't have your seatbelt on?" I was like, "Oh no, I had it like under the left." He's like, "Well, if you're gonna be doing this, you need to have it over the top." And like he didn't like make me feel bad. He explained to me why, and I was like, "Okay, right. I'll wear my seatbelt like that." It was like it was cool. But I do remember you guys made me go first do everything once you got actually on the trails doing the real stuff.
Always.
And there was one person that we had to go back for. I don't remember who it was, but like
the guy in the yellow Jeep.
Yeah, he got like completely. I don't know what happened to him, but we're out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if you guys have been to URI, but it's pretty tough. And apparently, like the instructor got in my vehicle and was like, "Hey, you're going to be the first person to go through all this stuff." And I'm like, if you guys have never off-roaded before, there's always in your stomach this pit of like just super stress. Like you got to poop, but you don't have to poop. But it's scary. And then to be the first, like normally, like when we would go off-roading locally, I would be like someone behind somebody. Brandon would go first because he had the balls, except for one time, and we'll show that. But that day, like I had to be the first one under like being supervised and instructed. Like I was super like whatever.
It's like getting your driver's license test, like your road test, and you're like sweating and
yeah. But I made it through beautifully. I didn't have any problems. My rig, like I had just like did this monster lift and added these things because we were prepping for the trip, and I was like, okay, I'll spend like $4,000 on new stuff, and I did it like the day of, right? So you never do that, and all my shit worked out. It rode good. Nothing broke on the way up there. Me and our buddy took back roads all the way up since Brandon was running late, and everything worked out good. Except it was super bouncy. I was too lifted. I was like, do you remember that?
Oh yeah. And I was the guy
bouncy.
I was the guy who panicked because I was. It's my truck. We all were driving like our daily drivers, the cars that we needed to be able to get us to work and drive our family safely and all that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden, mine just started making this weird noise. It was like pulling weird, and I got on. We had CB radios, and I was like, "I'm having a mechanical issue." And of course, like 12 people now all have to pull over, and they're coming to like looking at my truck. They're like, "Bro, there's nothing wrong with your truck."
There's nothing wrong with your truck, bro. Yeah, I think that was funny. I remember because that's when we stopped, and like that's when other dude had a problem, right? It was after that. But you were the first person to call, and I was like, I remember hearing the panic in your voice, and I was like, oh, something's wrong, because we were going down that huge hill, right?
Yeah.
It was like this, and we're going face. I mean, it was a huge degree, or small degree, I don't know, huge degree.
Yeah.
And it was pretty scary just to see ground in front of you and nothing else.
Yeah, right. Oh. Do you can you see these pictures?
Oh no, I got it.
Do you need to approve me?
That's
all right.
There we go.
All right. So
you're on that super wide. You may have to go in a little bit.
Oh boy, yeah. Look at that.
So this is Francis Marion National Forest. This was the crew back in the day.
Does that make it a little better? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this was Mike and my truck. This was a day we did a build on my truck to lift it up a little bit. That truck
is that when we added the bumper and just like barely put on the
pieces.
The piece. We also we put 2 screws.
Oh no, that was when we put the winch on. That was another.
Oh, the winch. Okay.
Yeah, that winch was held on with duct tape and a prayer. There was nothing holding that thing on.
Yeah, there's my Mickey Mouse ears on the Xterra.
And this was before. I would say this was still early in your building process. There was more building to be done for yours. This is that trip we took off-roading.
Oh, look at that sexy man! Look at
I couldn't buy those cargo shorts now if I wanted to. And look at this guy.
Whoa! Oh yeah, just put those big 33-inch tires on. Remember they called me Stocky. Stocky.
You can see here the
the green axe.
There it is. The zombie killing axe.
And I got a necklace on. Look at that.
You do.
Oh, dude, that's pre-color on the tattoo. That's like 7 years ago.
That was yeah. And that we had a wild camping experience. We thought that this would be enough of a I guess grill to feed 3 guys for a weekend.
Wieners on the fire. Yeah, sure.
We lost a few dogs down that weekend. That's a friend of ours. Had the hammocks hung. Mike was on the computer still. I don't know what he was doing.
Was that working?
I don't. No. It's hard to say. You were downloading video, maybe. You
remember how hot it was that day?
It was horrible.
Like I was sweating it until like 2:00 in the morning.
We made whatever this was. We'd had a few cocktails throughout the day and thought this would be a good dessert. Those are vanilla Oreos with peanut butter cups on top.
That was my idea. Brainchild right here.
This was a late night run.
I'll explain this one. So
yeah, you go for it.
There was a park ranger here at the park where I'm not going to say where we were, but during the day everything was cool. We were very timid about doing things, but later on we decided to go to the bathroom. The only bathroom at this place is at the front of the is it a park or off-road?
Yeah, we'll call it. Yeah, it was a park.
Whatever it is.
In the owner's house
the owner's house, which is still just
his toilet.
Maybe it was still barely a shack, and so to get up there from our campsite, which is by the river, is like a 15-minute haul at dark. And even pulling into the place, if you didn't have 4-wheel drive, you're not getting in. So we attempt this at night. Admittedly, after a few cocktails, we go up there, and there's this big group of people. And so we go to the bathroom, and at the fire, we hear someone say, "Hey, what they say? Do you guys want Oreos?" S'mores. And I was like, "Hell yeah, I want s'mores."
Who doesn't?
So we run over there, and they're drinking like moonshine around the campfire. This is pre-COVID, so we're like passing the moonshine around like 25 people.
This wasn't like Whiskey Bill's moonshine you can get at the gas station. This was legit in a still. Probably next to these people's outhouse somewhere, legit moonshine.
Right. So we do that, and then this guy comes up and says, "Hey, you want to do a night run?" So everybody gets in their rigs, right? And these guys have huge monster Jeeps. The Ranger has huge monster Jeeps, and we're like, "Yeah, we'll follow." And dude, this is my vehicle here, and this is what we go out in the night in. And all I have is like 33-inch tires, barely a leveling kit. And during the day, like I said, we were super timid, but at night, it changed the story. We were doing like crazy stuff, like driving around off-roading at night. Do you remember at one point, like we're doing like 15 miles an hour and came to a like complete stop.
I was just thinking about it. Yeah,
dude. Some rock jumped up and like stopped my car completely. But it was crazy. I'm sure there's some video out there, but off-roading, I don't know where I'm going with the story. I just want to talk about that night because that night was super epic. How we were so scared during the day, but at night it was like completely wide open. And that may have been for other reasons, but it was a good time. And I think our nerves went away the next day because I swear that first day, like doing some stuff, I was super nervous. One of the things the Ranger was very clear on is don't get it in any water. If it looks like it's just a few inches, it's feet deep. There was this one like spoiled young dude in like a Pathfinder, which was barely lifted. Yeah. Yep. And he was going through like the deepest things. Like he would go off trail and like he got stuck. Like his shackles were broke. His shocks were broke. And still trying to get through stuff. And I'm like, the guy told you not to do this. And then here he's like getting stuck and stuff. And it was crazy. Off-roading's fun. If you ever get a chance to do it.
We'll just jump a little bit here to, there's some more of, you must have taken a zombie down.
Yeah, I took out a few in my lifetime. Yeah, right. There's the zombie sticker on the back corner right there. Yeah. That's where that cop was like, "So are you hunting zombies?"
Yep. And so this was an example of Mike goes first and does a great job, and then we decide that the next one Mike will go first again, and it didn't go so well. And this is go ahead. What?
Go so well means I did get out, but you can see how deep it is. Yeah. And you can see the stress on my face.
No, you can see the stress on your face.
There it is, right there.
Just sheer confusion over what to do next. And then I'll jump ahead. This was camping. This was the off-road.
I do want to say that you guys did not go through that last hole. I had to turn around and come back through that to get out because these guys wouldn't go through it.
Well, we saw what happened to you. Why would we go?
So do you remember coming through? Like I hauled that. I turned around and I'd hit like 20 to get out of that thing, and all I saw was tadpoles come over the roof of my car. Like all I could see was tadpoles. Like my windshield wipers were going. Like tadpoles were flying. Brent, the guy in the back, was like trying to like dig out a trench to drain the water. It didn't help. We're in the swamps of Francis Marion.
Yeah. Oh, here is the drone prior to me dropping it into that ditch.
That was a cool little drone, wasn't it?
It was. Look, I put some carbon fiber blades on it. I don't think it helped at all. Now you can get one of these things like twice as nice, has a built-in camera for like $300.
Flies itself. Yeah.
And yeah, this was the training course. So this was all the vehicles that I forced to stop because I had a panic attack over some knocking sound in my Jeep. This was my Jeep here. And then this is Mike's right at the end there. I think yeah, but this was like a pretty cool crew of people that.
Dude, I've totally forgot. I put a lot of work into that rig. I lifted it. I put that ARB bumper on the front. I did a lot of stuff. I had the winch. Yeah, it's all built. That's all built. That's not bought.
That's right. Mike, you could see went a little bit harder on it than my guy here that just had some tires. But this was my second off-road vehicle, so
that's true.
I didn't sink as much into it. And here's that. There he is. This was that hill. So when Mike was talking about free rolling back, this was the hill. So you got up to this point, and then they said to just put it in neutral and roll back and just steer out of it. And for anyone who's ever tried to do anything like that, it's terrifying. Terrifying.
Super terrifying.
Yeah.
And I was the first one that had to do it, I think.
You
Like
were.
that was the curse of being first to everything. Like, how to do it first.
You did a great job. There was 2 hills actually. This one was a little bit less steep, and then this second one was a monster. And there was mine. But yeah,
Oh yeah, we had a one wheelet. Yeah.
pretty neat stuff. That's all the off-roading stuff I got there.
Fun times. Oh, that's some of the best. I think the highlights. Besides us running through some like steep stuff, not steep, thin stuff, and like having to clear it out and
Right.
like scraping cars up and stuff like that.
Then I mentioned that Mike and I did a backpack or bike packing trip. So this was our adventure to do that. We took 2 bikes. Oh boy, that was a look.
Sexy hat.
Wow.
This is in Ondaw, so this is a little north from Charleston.
Yep. And we were basically crossing the Francis Marion National Forest, and it was just basically fire roads and dirt and not a whole lot of trail.
We tried to do trail, and it turned out that the trails were tough. So there's all these roads in Francis Marion that are basically closed off. You can't use them, but they're still solid roads. It's kind of eerie. It's almost like apocalyptic in a way. And we end up using a lot of those roads. I think we rode 30 miles that day.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And we were definitely over prepared in a good way.
Yeah, we had a lot of stuff.
This was it was supposed to be a 2-day trip. And it was a 1 day, but again, this kind of pulls in the idea of like tying in our creative pursuits with these other passions that we had. I mean, it was a lot of stopping and taking photos and, that's not a very good photo, but kind of grabbing, video and, trying to create some content for the, current term for this sort of stuff, content creation or whatever. But it was more just documenting something that we really enjoyed doing. And
I remember when we got to that one point, like there was all those ducks that flew up.
Yeah.
And the next morning we hear all the gunfire. And we're like, what is that? And we realized it was like the first day of duck hunting season. It was just crazy.
And we were just, camping in
aside from the train.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was going to like hit us or something. It was so close.
We made it all the way to where we had planned to camp, and then we were going to do another day of riding the next day. But unfortunately, my bike had a major mechanical issue. My derailleur, if anyone knows what that is, that rear shifter snapped off. And so this was it. We made it to this campsite, and this was kind of like an example of Mike enabling me to purchase a bunch of camping stuff. I've since upgraded my gear even further, but we had a great time. And then we built this great fire, and then some folks showed up and shared the fire with us, and we had a good time.
Strangers showed up, and so I want to say this. We went out and we sat by the fire with them, and like one of the first things they offered us was candy. And I was like, yeah, I'll take a piece of candy. And then Brandy was like, no, thanks. And then later I was like,
hard pass.
Oh, wait, should I not take a candy from a stranger?
I mean, I learned that when I was like 5 or 6, but Mike was still working on it.
I was fine. Nothing happened.
That's just a bunch of my exes, so I'll stop sharing that now.
So what I was going to say, I have to remove you here. What I was going to say is like that video, guys, of that trip is actually on YouTube. A lot of my old stuff from those early years is on YouTube if you want to check it out. It's just riding on trails, but if you guys are in the area or ever want to experience, what were we calling it? Like backpacking on bike packing. There you go.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool because it shows us, it will show you what to do and what not to do. Or if you're looking for any gear, like we were definitely loaded up, probably way too much stuff, but we were able to, get through 30 miles of riding. And, we probably could have done a lot more, if your bike had not broke, unfortunately. But it was definitely a fun experience, something I'd never done before, outside of like riding. And, one of the things, me and Brandon were talking about before bringing him on the show was just like all these different creative things that, we encourage each other to do. And if you got that person, like for a long time, Brandon was my person until he decided to leave. That we did things with, or I did things with that was totally different. Like later on in life, we were doing like rock climbing, so we go to a rock climbing gym, like something I never thought I'd be doing, but he encouraged me to do. And a lot of that came with accessories I wasn't expecting, like shoes and chalk bags and chalk and all this crazy stuff. And it's just interesting over the years how one person has inspired me to do all these things. And me and Brandon still talk, even though we're so many hours away from each other. But it's still cool to just have that person that is so encouraging and inspiring. And I just want to share this with you guys.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about this, I think, just before we got on, is the idea that, like, I think everyone does this, but I can specifically point to it, is that, like, you share different parts of yourself with different people, based on kind of like what you can just kind of feel what someone's into, so it's easy to share certain parts of yourself with certain groups of friends, and it's more difficult to share other parts, so I told a few of my good friends that I was going to be doing this tonight with Mike, and they're like, what are you going to be talking about? And I was like, well, Mike does a show, and it's diorama talk, but there's like a creative aspect to it, and so it kind of spans the spectrum of creativity. And they're like, yeah, but what are you going to talk about? And I'm like, come on, are you kidding me? Like, I'm good. All right, whatever. But like, there are certain people in my life, Mike being one of them, that I can, I think I'm more open to sharing those sort of crazy ideas and those, like, the creative side of things. He's the first person that I'll go to kind of bounce an idea off of, and like, or at least share an idea. I mean, sometimes you have an idea and you're going to do it, but you just want someone to validate it and be like, oh yeah, dude, that's sweet. And you've already dedicated yourself to it, but you just need that little bit of external kind of push to say, like, yeah, you're going in the right direction, or, oh, that's weird, or whatever. But like, I know I can trust Mike's, his thoughts on whatever that idea that I might be sharing is. So, like, yeah. And it's cool when you have that person that, like, I feel comfortable saying, I'm doing this thing. And they're not going to be like, well, weren't you doing that other thing? Or like, what do you know about doing that thing? You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like oh, how are you going to do it? Or like, what sort of stuff are you going to buy to do it? Or whatever that is, like, I kind of mentioned like making dog leashes and like dog stuff. Like, I just got this new dog, and, I can say that to Mike, like, hey, dude, I'm making these dog leashes. Like, sweet. What are you making them out of? Like, that's the question, versus like, why are you making dog leashes? That doesn't even, like, why? You don't know anything about making dog leashes. But I think, like, if, whatever Mike comes to me and says, like, I'm going to try doing this, like, I know that, if it's a good idea, I know Mike is going to be capable of doing it, because he's going to pursue it in a way similar to like how I would pursue it, learn about it, prototype. Like, I'll just grab something real quick here down below me. So I'm making these dog leashes, and here's like 4 or 5 different prototypes that I'm making of different dog leashes to kind of figure out what works. And I just walk my dog with them, every day, and see what's comfortable and what works, and, all that sort of stuff. And, because that's part of the process is figuring out what works, what doesn't, and learning about it. And I know Mike approaches things the same way, of like, just kind of going over the same thing over and over, and kind of reworking it and reapproaching it. And something you did well, or you thought you did well 6 months ago, you can revisit and kind of like remix in a way and see if you can do it better, or how you can do it better. Yeah.
A lot of times, Brandon, and you'll get this, but a lot of people won't get this, is I almost look at the DevOps model and almost think the same thing about the hobby or creativity side, right? At least the research, discovery, and then plug that back into the next round, right? There's a cyclical type of action that always happens, right? And there's the discovery, learn, and then how do you do better and apply that to the next go around. Yeah. And that's what we try to do. And I think, a lot of that may stem from our own careers, because that's a lot of what we do, especially consulting or in IT work. But it applies here as well. Like, if I'm going to do something, I learn how to do it better, why not apply it to the next round, right? Why keep doing the same thing? And I think that's, maybe where a lot of our similar traits come from is just the careers that we've chosen to do. But you're right. Like, if I'm going to do something, why not test it, make sure it works, and is this how I like it before I'm going to present something out? And
yeah, I hate the phrase like fail fast, fail often, because I think that oversimplifies the idea of like, yeah, that's part of it, right? But like, it's not necessarily just fail fast, fail often, because you could be really bad at something over and over again, right? Like, it's more of what you're saying is that like cyclical thing of, okay, so I made this way and it sort of worked, but it sort of didn't. That's not just fail fast, fail often. That's getting feedback. That's, understanding what you're doing. That's, iterating and, moving forward and kind of evolving whatever the idea is, instead of just, you could throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. And sometimes that's how it starts, but it's more than that, I think.
Are you hating on Will Smith right now? Is that what this is happening?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Did Will Smith say that? Was that Will Smith?
Fell fast, fell often, fell. I don't know. I'm joking.
I don't know.
That's kind of his.
I use his toothpaste and his deodorant. Hey, humans.
Oh, I didn't know that was his.
Not his. I don't go to his house and take his stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, he has like a brand or something.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I was gonna ask how it tastes. Yeah, if he uses it.
Like Will Smith.
Like Will Smith. Thanks, Star Marvel. You're always so nice. Yeah, I think over the years we've had a lot of similar taste in things, and we definitely trust each other's opinions. If you don't mind, I have some like interview type questions I would like to ask.
That's fine.
But I do need to take a break, and I wonder if I could talk you into entertaining these people just for a few minutes.
So you get to take a break, and then I get to entertain?
I mean, you can take a break after if you want. I know you could probably talk about the beer that you're drinking, because you're drinking some interesting beer tonight.
I could talk about beer. I'm definitely a beer snob / geek or whatever. But I mean, I got some random stuff here.
Are you ready?
Do you want me to? Do I start now? When do I start?
You can start as soon as I disappear.
So you get to go to the bathroom, and I don't get to go to the bathroom. Is that what we're saying?
You get. Oh, we can both go. We can both go.
No. I'll do this, and then you go, and then when you come back, then I'll go.
That works. All
right.
Here we go.
All right.
What are you drinking tonight?
All right. What am I drinking tonight? So I live in, like I said, just south of Buffalo, New York. Just to give a brief background if anyone is interested. So I grew up here in Western New York, and just outside of Buffalo. I moved to Florida and lived there for a few years. Then I moved to Charleston, which is where I met Mike, and lived there for a long time, like 8 or so years, I think, 8.5 maybe, and thought I would never leave. The Low Country is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Everyone loves the food and all that sort of stuff. And then, I have a kid and decide, well, we want to be close to friends and family. So we moved back, and now I've been here for a few years. And so this is local stuff. And favorite pizza joint in New York. So since I'm in Western New York, our pizza is very different than downstate or New York City pizza. So where I grew up was my favorite pizza place, a place called Nino's. It was in West Seneca, New York. Nino's Pizzeria was like the best pizza. I still get it from time to time, but and let's see. Yeah, X's and dog leashes. That's awesome. It's what I like, right? So here's the beers. So this was a Genesee, which everyone I think is familiar with the Genesee Cream Ale, but this is Genesee's Oktoberfest. They make other beer than Cream Ale, and they're Genny Light. Then I got Big Ditch, which is another local place, and that's called Kringle Juice. It's a hazy, like Kris Kringle. It's a hazy IPA. Pineapple does not go on pizza.
Dude, Orlando's. I'm not even remember Orlando's. Orlando's had the best pineapple pizza.
Our boss used to, every time Mike and I worked together, and our one boss would get we would get pizzas because it was a fun day. We get pizzas. We're all lucky. And he'd be like, we get 8 pizzas and 4 of them are Hawaiian. And he's the only one. Mike and him are the only ones that eat it. And we're all like, "What are you doing?"
I didn't eat it till then. I was like, okay, this is all that's left.
Because everyone else ate the good pizza. And you're like,
Yeah.
"I'll just eat the garbage."
Yeah.
And then this one here is another local one. It's from a brewery called Pressure Drop, and it's called Sticky Trees. So you can imagine what it tastes like. Very hoppy and delicious. Yeah. Yeah, I see Ithaca, Rochester. So Rochester, I was living in for a while before we moved back to Buffalo. My in-laws are from Rochester. I was living in a town called Farmington. Great stuff there. That's where Genesee is from, if that's what you're asking, toying around.
Toying around is from Canada, so he's not from.
Okay.
But he should be somewhat familiar with that part.
Yeah. So did you say you were from? Yeah, and then Ithaca, I was actually for the first time this year. I went there for my wife's birthday. Had never been to Ithaca. Lived here my whole life, and Ithaca is gorgeous. Makes me want to punch someone in the face, but they say that because there's lots of gorges in Ithaca. There's lots of like waterfalls and hiking. It's a beautiful place. But and who was it toying around? That's from Toronto.
Yes,
Toronto. Yeah, Toronto's awesome. Smells bad in the spring, but it's a beautiful place. I saw Wicked there for musical fans. Went and saw Wicked at I think Kodak Theater. And I used to go up there all the time back when the Blue Jays were real bad. I used to go up there for Red Sox games at the Dome, and it was like super cheap to go.
Easy on dissing the Blue Jays.
No, they're great. I love the Blue Jays. If I wasn't a Red Sox fan, I'd be a Blue Jays fan. But it was cheap to go. Their tickets because like they didn't have like they had like I think it was like Wednesday nights like $5 nights when I was younger, and you could go up there and like literally just watch a Major League Baseball game for like $5 Canadian, which was like 40 cents American or something like that.
Oh, that's right. You used to jump the border and stuff to do fun stuff as a kid, right?
Well, yeah, when you because you could drink in Canada when you were someone tell me, I forget if it was 19 or 20 bearded builds maybe. Forget, but it wasn't 21 like it was here. So we would go over there and get in trouble in Niagara Falls on Clifton Hill and Lundy's Lane. If anyone's ever been to Niagara Falls on the Canadian side, we go to this place called House of Beer, and they had a mug like the mug that you have. International House of Beer was called IHOB, not IHOP. No pancakes involved. They had this giant mug. 19. So you go up there when you're 19, and these giant mug international beer, and because people would steal them all the time, you had to give them your driver's license. So if you like had too much to drink and you walked out with one of those, you just had it, and then you can't get back over the border, and then you make it all the way to the to crossing, and then you don't have a license. So I have half my family's from Fort Erie. If anyone from that area Canada's familiar. So my grandma was born and raised in Fort Erie, Ontario. And so, yeah, I spent a lot of time over there when I was younger. All right, now it's my turn to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
That is right. And I will entertain the best I can, although I'm not the one here to entertain. So a lot of Canadian stuff. Ha ha ha, Canada. Just kidding, guys. I don't know what to talk about. I'm so nervous. How about the weather today, guys? No, let's talk about this. I know I showed this off recently, and this is from the Enabler trip. I finally got my blades in earlier this week. This is thank you, Fred, Pan Noodle Fred. He enabled me to pick up the Dark Saber. While we were in California at where were we? Oh, Disneyland. So this is an epic piece that definitely is in the collection of swords, especially sabers. Oh, here's some questions. What's your favorite beer, Mike? Honestly, Bud Light is my go-to beer. You can ask anybody I hang out with. They know me. I will pick up a case of Bud Light and just run with it. But I think my favorite beer is probably a local beer. It's called it's a Washout. It's from, man, I forgot. Holy City. Holy City makes it. It's called Washout Wheat. It's a local brewery that does it. It's a really good beer. It's a little expensive, hard to find, but my go-to beer is Bud Light. My favorite beer is Washout Wheat. Brandon, small bladder or just quick timing? I don't know which one happened there, but The Dark Saber FOMO. Yoko, we can go again. We're gonna try. Me and Mario were talking. Nabler's talking. Want to do like a get together. Maybe every quarter. Maybe that's too much. I don't know. But it definitely was a fun trip. I know this guy was very jealous of the trip. I've not had a personal, hobby related trip in a very long time in my life, especially with the kids and everything. So it was a fun trip. I don't want to, make that sound long, but yeah, it was a fun trip. Would definitely like to do it again, and fun times all around. So that's the Dark Saber. I did build with the enablers. We all built our own lightsaber. I chose power and control. You guys probably know what that is if you're Star Wars fans. And that does not make me bad. That just means I like power and control. I don't know what that means, but that doesn't make me evil. Anyway. Yeah, I'm hoping to get that diorama done. That's now probably like an 8-month build, and I've got to get it out in the next 30 days. I want anyway, so I'm working really quickly or as much as I can to get it done. But it's one big diorama. I think I'm gonna assemble it probably tomorrow. Tomorrow's my son's birthday party, but after his birthday party, attempt to assemble it as it is today. And then just to get a perspective on it, right? Like when I build, I like to put everything together, especially something this large, to get an idea of, what it looks like all together. It may not be cohesive, and I want it to be cohesive. So the only way you're going to get that is putting it all together and making sure, it fits and the color schemes are right. And, when you look at it, just something doesn't seem off. So tomorrow I'm hoping to get the apartments with the the new work done with that center building and all the streets, and just get an idea of what that looks like. And I'll probably share that on Instagram. It probably won't look super great, but you'll be able to get an idea for the scale and how much work I put into it at this point. Yo, Brandon's back. Brandon, what's up?
I'm here.
I'm checking out a mold I made this morning. Finally getting back to it after a month's procrastinating. Oh, a mold? That's interesting. What did you mold? Like a head sculpt or? Definitely down to hear more about that. How much was this saber? This saber was shy of 200, maybe right over 200. This one, the custom built ones are 200. What's cool is on these custom ones, and you may be able to do it on these, I'm not sure, is you can take these apart. You saw how to build them when you're building them. You can put in different color kyber crystals, and the kyber crystals determine what color your blade is. So while I chose power and control, I can put in a crystal, a blue crystal, a green crystal, yellow crystal, and my blade will actually show that color. I don't know. That's probably too much, but just want to show how cool I am. Yoko, definitely Dark Saber FOMO. You need to get you one. He asked beer, not water. Oh, wow. Wow.
He's not wrong.
Do you remember Washout Wheat? Washout Wheat by Holy
that's
City?
a good beer. Yeah.
That's where I say it was my favorite local beer, but I go to Bud Light. One beer that stands out to me that I have a relationship with Brandon on is, you remember after the climbing gym, we go down to Leo's. Was it Leo's or Leon's? Leon's downtown, Charleston. Great oyster place. You get oysters on the half shell. They had the banquet of beer on tap.
Yeah, Coors Banquet beer.
Coors Banquet beer. I remember like after this one pitcher between two guys is nothing, but how great that felt after climbing at the gym. That was my favorite beer for a long time.
Yeah, thankfully my gym here, because I still climb, the climbing gym here is attached to a brewery. So.
Oh, well, that's not the one. Is that the one Kess is managing?
Yes. Yeah. My buddy managed it.
Right.
So yeah, it's a nice gym. And so right next door, so it's Central Rock gym, and then connected to Resurgence Brewing. So can't complain about that. It's a nice little setup. And my daughter loves climbing now. So we were just down there today, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. She's better than I am, for sure.
Yeah, I remember Kess would show up and just like school us, like American Ninja Warrior style.
Yeah, he's a monster.
On everything. Yeah, he's a monster. Too much Mario for sure. Yeah. Happy birthday to your son. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, he'll be 4 this year. He'll be driving the next year. I need to send you some of our beer. I'm interested. What kind of beer you got? You're in Louisiana, right? What kind of beer you got, Geeker Queen? 8-ball head sculpt. Oh, okay. That'd be cool. Is that the 8-ball head sculpt from like the Fortnite figures, I think? I don't know. Doesn't make me bad, just makes me cool. Hey, he must be talking about the power and control. That's right. That's right. Be careful what you say. One thing I did buy while I was there too is I bought the belt. I think it's the Jedi belt that has like the weird pouch that looks like a cell phone would fit in it, but doesn't. But it has the D ring and it has the thing to fit this. So like around the house, I wear that during the day while I'm working with my 2 lightsabers just jangling off the side. I feel really cool.
Did they have there's a box, right? They have like a display box that when it opens up, it makes a sound. Do they have that there?
I didn't buy that, but right. I know like the dark saber came in a really cool box. I'm gonna keep the box.
Yeah.
They did not give us a box. They actually gave us a sheath that's nice and padded, so you can wear it around and not get broken.
My buddy's got he's got 2, and he's got this wooden box. When you open it up, it does a sound effect. It's got like a velvety thing in there, or whatever. It's
that's nice. Cool. It probably depends on what one you buy because Yoko, shout out to Yoko by the way. Yoko picked up what's her name? Ahsoka's blades from Rebels.
Ooh, nice.
And they came in. It looked like it came in a very nice box. At least what I saw, it looked like to be a nice box. And so some of them do. Like I said, the dark saber came in a really cool box. This did not come with the box; just came with the sheath. But yeah, I think they're worth it. I mean, this is solid aluminum. Yeah. These pieces screw off. They're very nice. They have indicators of how they go back together. This is aluminum. This is not plastic. I don't know how it compares to like the Hasbro ones that are about $150, $200.
I don't know. I can't wait to go. You were in Disneyland, right?
That was Disneyland.
Yeah,
Disney World does the same thing.
Yeah.
What's really cool is like so we find I've been at Disney World like 3 times in the past couple of years taking my son, and I've never been able to get on Rise at the Resistance. It's the same ride.
Yep.
But with these guys, out of Cali, like we were all on our phones in the morning. We had the world clock out. That's a tip, had the world clock out. And, by 7 o'clock, we're all had our tickets. We got into the Rise, dude. It was an amazing moment to start the day out. We get to Disney like 7:30. We spent all day at Disney. We got to do Rise. We got to do Smuggler's Run. We got to build lightsabers, all as a group. And we're there to like 11:30 at night, dude. So we got all the fireworks. And it was just like a super awesome experience. And
that's right. And then you drank the Rancor blood with the testicles in it.
You're right. This is okay, guys. This is the guy that when I took that picture, he's like, "Why is there testicles in your?" I didn't realize the bones, broke off bones. They do look like little scrotums sitting in our drinks.
Sorry,
and that was at 9:30 in the morning. We're drinking. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
You. That's right.
Yeah. Jedi Mike. What time was it? 10:40. So what we'll do now, guys, is if you want to ask us any questions, we'll roll into questions. I have a few interview questions I want to ask Brandon here, but we'll do some live questions first, and then we'll roll into my more serious questions. I think he's referring to the Signature Series sabers. Maybe I don't know a whole lot about it. I just know these are cool, and I had to pick them up. It seems like a lot of these you have to get from Disney themselves or at Disney. I don't know if you can get them on the Disney store or whatever, but they're pretty cool. Sabers are cool. Yeah. Star Marvel has built several of his own sabers. He actually sent me a video of a real cool one that was like twisting inside and had all these motors and stuff. It was pretty awesome. Okay. Queen or geek? This is the beer question. We make all kinds of beer. Currently have a bunch of mead and will knock you on your ass. Okay. Is that a challenge? How do we make this challenge come to life? Decent prices on experience you're creating. Oh yeah. The Saber Shop, I mean, you can buy them right out or you can build your own. I think it's a lot cooler to build your own unless you're just going for that look, right? If you just want, the dark saber, or you want Obi-Wan saber or Anakin saber, or whoever saber you want. Yeah, I mean, look at Mario. You can build one with a piece of bone hanging off the end of it, and then break it, and then go back and get another one. Sorry, Mario, I'm gonna call you out. Yoko, I don't know what she's laughing at, but glad she's happy to be laughing. Did the Rancor? It did not taste like blood, and so I don't think Rancor blood is red. I think it's green, isn't it? Do you remember? I don't remember.
From the movie?
Yeah.
Did they show it?
I mean, when the door slams down on his head, I could have swore it was like a slimy green color.
I just remember he was so sad. So sad.
The Rancor dying is sad?
He was like, I mean, he didn't ask for that life, You're
right. He was basically a caged animal.
Right? Jabba did him dirty.
Jabba. I thought you meant we were saying like, reindeer, not Rancor, but
you're not drinking reindeer blood, are you?
No, not yet.
Right.
Yes, we had testicles for breakfast. Hey, no, we Mario, we started out with sausages. We started out with peni. Remember? We had peni for breakfast. The wrapped peni. Oh man, you had to be there. There was Wadaga arm. There was peni. There was a whole bunch of things going on. All inside jokes for that crew. I want a dark saber and a lightsaber. My wife said only one, and we go in 2 weeks. Buy two and say there was buy one get one free sale. This is enabling to have gone too far. Yes, enabling goes way too far. Enabling game has gone way too far. Yeah, maybe. There's a few legacy sabers on Disney Shop now. I think Luke, Vader, Mace Windu. It's rare, and any go online. Oh, I'll have to check that out because I would like to definitely pick up a Mace Windu. That'd be cool. Thanks, Yoko. At least as a couple of days ago. Oh, so they may not be there anymore. We had Ronto wraps, but I don't know what Ronto is. Maybe I'm a bad Star Wars fan, but it looked like brown peni and a wrap with embryos. There was embryos on the wrap. Definitely want Ahsoka sabers. Yeah, those look really cool. She showed them off without the blades, but that's a jab, a small jab.
Cap lives. Ahsoka is the best Star Wars character. Like, it doesn't matter. Animated. What's her name? Rosario Dawson. Just her story is phenomenal. Like it just. I'm a Star Wars fan from when I was a kid. Like one of my best friends, we used to just watch we used to watch them on VHS. Then they came out with the extended versions, and I've seen pretty much every one at midnight release up until all the prequels. But no, I saw all the prequels. Sorry, at the midnight release, and then I saw one of the sequels at the midnight release. But Ahsoka's storylines and that character in general is just phenomenal. Sorry, I needed to just put my 2 cents in there. There's nothing bad they've done with Ahsoka, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I think that's going to jive with a bunch of people, especially in this chat here tonight. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of Ahsoka fans, and I'm one of them. I think, I don't remember the name of the actor that played her in the Mandalorian series, but I think she's going to be great at it. Ahsoka I liked in both Rebels, and she was in Clone Wars too, younger, right?
Yeah, Snips when she was younger. She was, yeah.
Peni. Someone may have almost died from eating a peni. I don't know. Peni is plural. Yes, you had to be there. It's not a challenge. It's a fact. We're from Louisiana. Agree. I just was hoping there was a challenge because then I would come down that way. But I guess there's no invite. Thank you. Oh my God. I got right. Not that. Not him. Toronto Raps. Daddy, I found you. You won this, and I want to say, hey, I hope high school creation doesn't get confused. Yeah. All right. Cool. I got some questions. If you guys got some questions for Brandon, let them roll. I'm gonna run into some interview type questions, and I'm gonna start out. Oh, I didn't have my banner up tonight. Sorry, guys. Sorry to the HSC community. That doesn't even have my updated. Oh, that's pretty updated. So this one's going to come from Marcus Yee. You're not a diorama guy, but we'll word this a little differently. But Marcus Yee presented this question, I think in like episode 2, and it was a great question. I thought it was very, very relevant to at least the diorama guys, but thought it was a good question to present to each one of the guests each week. And like I said, we'll probably change this a little bit, but you still may have an idea, based on just a diorama. You know what a diorama is. You are an action figure collector, which I want to talk about after this. But if you were to make one diorama or buy, and what dio would best represent you or your personal, style or art style, what scene would that be?
Sure. So I would say I follow you probably closer than anyone else in the community currently. I will expand that as we go forward. But I don't remember if it was just Wolverine or Weapon X, but it was one of the first that you did with the snow in the trees, that kind of nature scene of him, running through. And yeah, that kind of, obviously I live in Buffalo. We get a lot of snow here, and I love it. Camp outdoors in the wintertime. In the summertime doesn't really matter. So I think that type of outdoor, which I feel like, I love the urban setting stuff that you see. You've been doing phenomenal stuff with the like the space kind of hallways and the those sorts of things. But those outdoor kind of exterior, I don't know off the top of my head who the artist is, but did a bunch of Dragon Ball Z dios that were kind of outdoor scenes, trees with the kind of
Lawless Studios is probably who you're thinking about. He does some great stuff.
What are those little trees from like Karate Kid? The like those kind of style of trees. Anyway, outdoor kind of would be my style. As some sort of forest scene. Maybe if we do like a Forest Moon at Endor would be pretty sweet. Something
would
like
be pretty sweet. And it's interesting you bring that dio up because that was very, very early on in anything I ever posted. And I don't think anybody's, maybe they go back and look, but I'm going back now, trying to go back through 900 and something posts because I apparently post way too much. But I wanted to show that off because this was way early in any kind of diorama, whatever. And I didn't understand then that, snow is one of those things that is pretty hard to do. And, oh, here it is right here. And I'm not saying I did it well, but I am saying, I am saying that it was a decent picture. It was, I might not have done the setup right, but it was a decent picture. And I just want to show it off real quick since you bring it up. Yeah, I just gotten this Wolverine. This was from the wave that had the beast, the blue beast, which was super articulated. And I set this up, and in the background is my first diorama piece I ever made. It's the first bricks I ever made. I had some trees that I made and some moss on the ground, and I did some snow effects. This is animated, so it throws it off a little bit. But what I actually used here was, that snow you use on windows. They had it on sale for like 25 cents a can, and this was July. So it's that Hobby Lobby, and I bought it for 25 cents. And I was like, oh, I want to do this epic snow scene because when I think of this Wolverine, I think when he's like escaping, he's running out into the snow of Canada, and I want to recreate this scene. And it was one of those first scenes I ever really did where I first bought that macro. Remember, I was telling you I was going to buy that macro, and for the A7, the A6000,
Yeah.
and this was the first time I used it. First time I used snow, and this is one of my first scenes that I really felt like it caught the moment that was so correct for the figure. I felt a lot of love for it, but never really got a lot of love here. But was one of the favorite ones I ever did. I did touch it up a little bit. I hit up some of the highlights here. You'll see it flash. But
it's funny. I was gonna say I remember early on talking about, as you were getting more into the photography side of things and doing the dios, and obviously you've gone heavier into the creation. But I was like, one of the things that I feel like is missing. Like I love the motion, and maybe that's just because I'm like more visual on that sort of thing, and I don't know if I'm speaking into a community that's much more in touch with this sort of thing, but like I love that kind of like, I love the static scenes with the depth of field and all that sort of stuff, but a little bit of that motion, because it pulls you in a way that like the static scene maybe doesn't as much, like I feel like right now what I'm looking at, like it's easier for me to not focus on the articulation points on the action figure, and I'm looking more at the scene because of the motion around it. And that it's a different perspective, totally outside of, your community or whatever. And maybe that doesn't fly everywhere, but to me, I like it makes it more of an engrossing scene with that little bit of motion and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And I think that's true. I mean, you got some, lens flare here, you got some flurrying, you got, kind of the headset moving, and it does take away from the articulation points. One of the things that I wasn't super happy about with this picture was, some of the exposure from like where his claws should be, because what really stood out is the snow covering, how it clumped on the trees, how it clumped on his head, how it clumped on some of this other stuff. It looked so like real, right? But then, these articulation points kind of took away from it. So I tried to cover that up with some of these dynamic little flashes, if you can see them here.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was something I was super like really happy about. And this is one of my first photos. And this was actually, this was a repost. My first one was like 2017. But was super happy with it. Anyway, I was surprised you called that one out, because I was really happy with that. Cool. Let's go in. Oh, sorry, chat. I see a few messages here. Oh my God, my daughter just got hold of my tablet. Oh, yeah. What did she say? Oh, that makes more sense. Daddy, I found you. This is what I wanted to say hi. Oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah, I'll be definitely be checking this stuff out for sure.
Yeah, check out Diorama. He just put a force together for Unparalleled Universe. I know we've talked about Unparalleled before. He does cool stuff, cool lives. He's a great representer of artists in the community. Open invite to Mardi Gras. All right. You saying we have a place to stay too? Is that what you're saying? Nice. I got some snow tree dios with saber. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I wish back then I like had these epic setups, or I thought they were epic, but now like I don't have any room for that shit. Bonsai trees.
That is the answer. Correct. Yes.
Bonsai. I'm sorry. Drip Mode did some awesome cherry blossoms. Lawless Studios has done awesome cherry blossoms. Yeah, there is an art to creating the trees for dioramas for sure. All right, so I have some artist type questions, Brandon, for you that I'm gonna run through real quick. And if you want to answer them. If you don't, just say next, and we'll go to the next question. So, what's some of the first artistic or creative kind of things you remember doing? Like, how far back do you remember doing?
Yeah, these? I mean, like as a kid, I remember drawing a lot. Young, coloring books, and then moving into just like drawing. And then I also remember in like I'm trying not to think about it right now as we're talking, because I don't really care for the sound of my voice. Thankfully, I hear myself different than everyone else has to hear me, but so maybe it's better for everyone else. I don't know. But I remember as a kid, it wasn't the Talk Boy, right? Because I'm older than the Talk. Does everyone know the Talk Boy, Home Alone, Talk Boy?
I had a Talk Boy FX pen.
Okay. Well, so Talk Boy, that was probably after they miniaturized it, maybe, I don't know. But this was like me, like with like an old tape deck, like recorder tape deck. Like I used to record myself and like do all sorts of like weird stuff, or like record myself and then like play back over myself and then like record on top of myself. I wish I had some of these tapes now, because it was like, I don't know what I was doing, but there was some weird stuff happening. So I would say outside of drawing, that was probably where, like, some weird stuff that I did when I was younger. And then, I feel like I got kind of out of it, with school, like as a kid, like young school, right? Elementary school, that sort of stuff. I didn't really do as much like free drawing or whatever. And then when I started to get into comic books, probably like 10, 11, 12 or whatever. Yeah. 10, 11, 12. Like, and I was like really getting into, like, I was just like drawing Spider-Man, and I was doing full pages. I know that's what got me. Like I went for a while of like drawing, like, I'll tell you, like, the one thing I suck at is drawing from my imagination. I'm really solid at like looking at something and recreating it. Even variations off of that recreation, but like I sometimes need a reference point. But once I started reading comic books, that's when I started to get back into drawing, and then it kind of all faded off again as I learned how to drink alcohol, I guess. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah. And then as I got older, my artistic endeavors moved again more towards photography and videography. But yeah.
Shout out, Brandon did what was it, our announcement pictures for our first child, which we still treasure to this day. They were great pictures.
Yep. Yeah.
What role does your creativity play in your society? I guess in like your group of friends, or your inner circle.
Yeah, sure. So I'm definitely like, it's funny. I'm good friends with a lot of people that I was friends with since high school, and majority, I have one friend who I would consider artistic. I have one friend who I would consider like interested in like videography and stuff like that. But for the most part, that's not really, not, at least not like traditional arts, right? Like, what most of my friends are into. So they look to me, and like I'll get teased because I have like a Cricut cutter, like to like cut out, whatever.
I have too.
Yeah. So, things like that. And like, I get like, oh, you got one of those things? Like, what are you going to make a wine t-shirt for the women in your life? But then at the same time, like, they'll reach out to me like, yo, my kid, his hockey team needs a logo, and if you could make a couple of t-shirts. And I'm like, oh, so now it's cool. Now it's cool because you want a t-shirt. No, but like, I should say that my friends are very supportive, but that's kind of my contribution in my community. What I would love to get more involved in is art in my actual community. Like, so there's this really cool. So the community I live in is East Aurora. Is the name of the town. For everyone watching, you come over, hang out. But the town is East Aurora. It's just south of Buffalo, and it was one of the like founding places of the arts and crafts movement. So if you're familiar with arts and crafts style, mostly like home decor, like home creation, all that sort of stuff. The Roycroft is this community of artists and artisans, mostly like metalwork and framing and kind of that sort of stuff, from that generation of the arts and crafts generation, which would have been, what was that, 20s, 30s, 40s, something like that. Point being that our community is very rooted in arts. And so when you're walking in town, which I walk my dog in there in town every day, there's a railroad bridge, and they have their own font. The town has its own font, which is a really nice font. And so it says East Aurora. But then someone did a tile, like square tile Super Mario. It's not Super Mario yet because he's just Mario, right? He's not even big. He's not even big Mario. He's not Fireball Mario. He's just like little Mario. But he's like on this like railroad bridge in tile form. And I just, every day I see it and I'm just like, man, I just want to create something like that in the community and just start like putting it places. You know what I mean? Like, and just kind of infiltrating this community with artwork in different ways. So that is definitely something that I want to do more of. I love being able to contribute through things like, I've done custom logos for hockey tournaments for my friends. I've done custom logos for obviously, honestly, a lot of it's hockey related. I don't know why. I don't even play hockey, but stuff like that is kind of how I contribute in my immediate community. But I would like to just kind of drop some stuff on my larger community in weird ways. So, yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Did I answer your question?
You totally did.
Okay.
And I want to do something like that myself, especially locally. I feel like I've been able to achieve some internet notoriety, but I want to do something locally, especially since I'm from this area, been in this area all my life, and I'm hoping to be able to achieve that, something in the next couple of years, whether that be with a like local con or something like that, maybe with dioramas. I would love to be able to draw something, but something about drawing is it's weird because like I'll draw something and deliver that to somebody, and I never feel like I hit it for them because I never. It's weird, like with drawing. I don't know, maybe not drawing, but dioramas I would love to do something for. Anyway, moving on. I don't think you need to explain. I'm just going from a list of like interview type questions, so until I find something.
I mean, I've rambled a lot, so I probably answered a lot of these questions already.
I have, but that's really cool. Totally cool. Chad Kinsler, what's up, dude? This is a guy that's very, very positive in the community. Thank you, Chad, for being here tonight. So my next question is going to be, and this kind of goes back to your childhood, but your strongest memory from childhood, from a creative perspective.
All right, I'll probably end up rambling again, but so it's funny. My mom is an artist, like a true artist. She's like does toll painting, if anyone's familiar with what that is, but she can do all different art styles, or whatever. And she was always kind of like my if I could convince her to like have an Etsy shop, she would just like rake in cash because people would eat up her artwork. She paints furniture, paints all sorts of stuff. Anyway, when I was a kid, like I always looked up to her artistically, like, oh man, like, so she colored, we got this thing from from the local science museum. It was this big, like one of those felt coloring things. You remember those things? They're like felt in some spots and you can color in other spots. Yeah. And it was huge. It was massive. Like it took up like a big part of the wall in our garage. And she and I just colored it like every day, like doing all these like different like dinosaurs, like just like filling them in and whatever. And like that always stuck out to me. Like it was like I accomplished something, like, and it was like, but I was just coloring something. But then that makes me think of is it not Mallrats, but someone from that crew. Like I'm an inker. I'm not just a color. Oh, you just color? Like that was me. Like I was the colorer, like I just colored that stuff in. But like that was one of the things that like stuck out to me, and like just being able to finish something like that and something that was like permanent, which is what I love now about creating like graphic design art. I think a lot of times like graphic design is a lot different than traditional art forms like painting, drawing, because you're more working with shapes and like you're building in a way, right? Versus like just creating. You're putting together pieces and you're forming something, or you're removing pieces, whatever. But just that thing of like being able to finish it and then hang it on the wall, that completion stems, I feel like, from that like art experience as a kid, just coloring.
That's cool. You know, your parents are so nice. I've met them. They actually sent us like a Christmas card one year, and you know, I didn't know that about your mom. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. She is, I wish I had some pictures of her stuff. Like in my daughter's room, she has this, like not a foot locker, but like a chest. We call it like a treasure chest, maybe. And my mom painted it to match this book that she gave Ava, my daughter. And I mean, it's just like it, like whatever the artist in the book was, my mom like recreated her art style like perfectly and fully covered this, this chest. It's beautiful. She's very, very talented.
So, are you second generation, or was there a generation before your mom that was, very
Mm.
creative?
Yeah, so that's a good point. My grandfather, I would say, inspires a lot of what I do with like my handwork, with tools and stuff like that. So my grandfather was a woodworker. My mom's father was a woodworker. He was just an outstanding craftsman. He could make frames. He could make tables, chairs, like anything like that. He would, he had wood lathes, and I grew up around that as a kid as well. And oddly enough, when my grandfather passed away a long time ago, when I was in high school, he passed away from Alzheimer's, but my uncle has taken in a lot of his tools and stuff, like my grandfather's tools and stuff like that. And last year, when they found out that I was working on axes and that sort of thing, started just like giving me all these old tools. I think he was just cleaning out his garage, to be honest. He tried to make it nice. But so I got all these tools that were my grandfather's tools, and some of them are super useful. Some of them I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm probably just gonna throw this away, which is awkward. But yeah, so I would say that, totally different styles of art and artistry. More like I hate the craftsman or the idea of a craftsman. It has this connotation of being like more of like you're more of a doer than an artist. I think craftsmen are artists. I just think that word has kind of gotten a bad rap over time. But my grandfather was an artist with wood. My mom was an artist with the paintbrush. So yeah, so I would say a third generation. Yeah.
Cool. And I like the way that you brought that out, because I kind of feel the same way. But I believe they're both artists, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your most embarrassing moment as an artist?
Anytime I post something at the same time as you when it's drawings, I don't know. Let's see. Most embarrassing moment as an artist. It's funny. Like, I think that everyone would probably, like, in today's society, today's world, is like anytime you put something on Instagram and it just like gets nothing, it's like embarrassing. You put something that you're so passionate about out there for the world, and then you just get nothing in response. But I think it's like, at the same time, it's not. Yeah. Working with my hands. I still think that, like, I was a bike mechanic for a lot of years, and bicycles, not motorcycles. But what drew me to that was my grandfather and tools, and like you just working with my hands. Man,
Points to you. I think I ended up buying a couple of bikes that you assembled, actually.
yeah. That's probably one of the things I was better at in my life too, is working on bikes. Man, like embarrassing artistic, like.
We can skip it. Skip.
Yeah, let's skip it. Skip it.
Okay, what is your most memorable response you've had with your work?
Honestly, I've had a few. Okay, I'll give you two. One I've already given tonight, which was the axe that I had restored for my friend's father-in-law. Anytime you can bring a guy to tears with a tool, you've done a good job, right? Like you've done you've mission accomplished. The other one was I created this photograph using motion, long shutter speed motion, at sunrise in some of the marshes around Charleston, Mount Pleasant area, and had this like really nice, like it was like a painterly feel to the photograph. And I had listed it on Etsy, and it was one of those things where like I listed on Etsy and like put like 1,000, because it's Etsy, right? They put like 1,000 different print options. And this dude reached out to me and was just like, I love this. I want it in the biggest canvas print you can make. And I was like, okay. So, and he's like, just give me a quote or whatever. And he asked me for the quote. And I was like, gave him like a ridiculous number, not because it was what I wanted to charge for him, just because it would have been the cost to ship it and all that sort of stuff. And he was like, yeah. He's like, I want it for my house. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Okay. So I printed this huge thing and he's like, I want you to sign it. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
That's the way it works, bro.
I've never really done that because like I normally drop ship, right? Because I'm like, I'm not that fancy, right? Like it's just gonna go to your house. And he's like, no. He's like, I'll pay whatever the extra is, ship it to you. I want you to sign it and send it to me from there, and I'll pay the extra shipping. And like I'm just like, what a like compliment of like. And then he asked me how I did it, and then I saw on his Instagram like years later that he was shooting photographs like that, which I love. Like that's the teacher in me, I suppose. Like I'm not like a person who's like, oh, you're copying me, or like I told you how I did this and then you went and took it and did it. Like, no, that's why I told you how to do it. You can do it too, you know? Like I can show you how to make one of these leashes. I hope you buy one for me, but like you can easily tie knots and glue shit together. Like it's not rocket science. But so yeah, that was probably one of the best like successes, or I forget exactly what the wording of the question was, but like
memorable.
Most memorable to be able to like, not only did this guy want my art, not only did he want it big, not only did he like care that much about it, but he wanted me to actually like, put my name on it by my hand. And then he was willing to pay extra for it. And it's just like, all right, man, like that's awesome. I have a hard time putting that much value on what I create, which is nothing to do with anyone else. That's a negative on me. I feel like I need to be a little more confident in some of the things that I create. But and now that guy opened a brewery, I feel like I need to reach out to him and be like, hey man, he's up in Tiga K. You know where that is? I don't even care about that. I want some free beer.
Oh. Well, you know, I was going to say is I actually have a few of your prints too that I bought early on of the Folly Pier, and they're still up in our main room. So
nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next one here. What food, drink, and songs inspire you? What are some of your favorite songs?
Man. All right. So food, for anyone here, I'm a vegan, so I don't eat eat a lot of weird stuff. Yeah, chicken wings and all that sort of stuff. Except for when my wife's not watching. So there's food inspiration is tough. Like there's some really great vegan restaurants in the area that recreate other food that inspired me before I went vegan. But drink, beer, kind of whatever kind of beer will inspire me in some way or another. But music, man, music is a good one. I listen to a lot of music. I would say that the music that inspires me the most is instrumental music, and specifically like a band called Explosions in the Sky. They did, I think people will be most familiar with them for the soundtrack to, what was that? Friday Night Lights? That football movie? Or a show? A football show? So they did the soundtrack for Friday Night Lights. They have a bunch of good, but it's all instrumental, no speaking or anything like that. Their music is inspirational. So when I'm like wanting to get into like a flow state or something like that, words can tend to be a little bit distracting. Songs that I've known for years or whatever, they evoke like certain emotions, but instrumental music, I feel like I can kind of get lost in and just let it go. So Explosions in the Sky is probably what I would put on if I wanted to get into a creative mode.
Nice. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I will, this is going to probably not be very uh, positive, but I listen to a lot of electronic type music, like no
Mhm.
sound at all, like bass nectar type stuff.
Mhm.
And that helps me. For some reason, it clicks my mind, especially like I'm doing a lot of like measurements or like certain things that require a lot of focus, a lot of precision. I don't know, but helps me. But kind of it makes sense without the words. Like you just
Yeah, you just feel it.
you just feel it. Yeah, you just go with it. Um, yeah, what kind of research do you do? I'm a big advocate for research, especially when it comes for like diorama building. Do your homework. Look at what you're building. Make sure it makes sense. Make sure it makes sense to the eyes. With a couple different avenues, right? You're doing print screens. You're doing merchandise like shirts and stuff like that, dog leashes, and also the hatchets. But obviously, you're doing some research behind that. What is your mentality for research?
Yeah, I'm big on all of it, right? Like whether it's historical research when it comes to like the axes, hatchets, functional, whatever you want to call that type of research. Like there's certain things like I didn't realize when you go to hang an axe, like there's so many things that you don't realize. Axes have been around for years and years and years, right? Like it's a tool that helped form this country. It literally, Abraham Lincoln, right? Like chopping wood. I mean, these are all things that are ingrained in this country, and there's things that you take for granted with that. Like you go buy an axe at the store, and you're just like, oh yeah, it's an axe. Like this is how this thing works. But like understanding like wood grain and how like an axe handle or axe haft, whatever you want to call it, the way that the grain of that wood is supposed to be to create the most like rigidity and what type of wood it's supposed to be, like all those sorts of things that you kind of have to understand. So research, I think, is huge, and even research and understanding your craft in general. When you paint, when you do anything, perfect example, like behind me here this is a heat press for t-shirt. Well, any sort of print creation you have to apply heat to, whether that's like a laser print heat transfer or heat transfer vinyl HTV. You have to understand like temperatures. You have to research and understand, how it meshes or works with certain materials, all that sort of stuff. Like, you have so many, things that you have to look into. I mean, if you're not diving deep into what you're doing, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to like, I think a lot of things when you're first starting off, like you may be surface level, but when you start to get passionate about something, like it's kind of almost your responsibility to dive deep and really research whatever it is, whether it's process, whether it's history, and sometimes both, right? Like understanding the history of a process, or like when it comes to the axes, the history of the materials, the history of whatever. You can't see them over here, but I have books on axes over here, and stuff like that. Just because I think like if I buy an axe head, like that one that we were talking about earlier, it's easy to overlook that and just think, okay, I'm going to just make this thing shiny. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but I want to do my research and know there's more value to this than just being shiny, So I think that it's invaluable. Research is invaluable. It makes you better at pretty much everything you do. You don't want to, let me, one more thing as I'm rambling here, but you don't want to let it stop you from moving forward. You can research something to death and not move forward because you feel like you don't know enough. You can't let it stop you. Research is valuable in enhancing what you're doing, but it can't stop you from moving forward in what you're doing, in my opinion.
And something that plagues me sometimes. I've talked about on the show before. I'll get to a point where like I don't know how to move forward with this piece, or I'm not comfortable or know enough. Example is today on the brownstone. I did not know how I wanted the colors of the doors to be and some of the windows, and I had to stop because like I was like running through these color schemes, and I was like, well, that doesn't look right. What is it actually like? If I go to look at a New York, brownstone building, and I had to go discover like black is the most predominant, window color and door color, and that helped me move forward. Whether I do black or not, that has helped me understand like darker colors are what's important.
Right.
Another example is I may be doing a McDonald's theme building, and I needed to understand, like in my memory, I remember these green roofed metal McDonald's, but if you research, you don't see a lot of those, but there are some, and I had to go research that to make sure that what I was remembering was an actual McDonald's.
Right.
So reference research, guys, is very important, especially when you're doing, anything that anybody else has seen. If you're doing your own idea, that's one thing. If you're reproducing something, you need to make sure it makes sense. You need to go look at it. You need to, like Brandon was saying, historically look at how these things were made in the past, because you most likely want to follow the same process to make sure it represents, that piece accurately. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I need to go use the restroom again.
Yeah. All right. I got this.
Entertain for a minute.
Yeah, I'll ask somebody else a question.
All right.
You sir there? Are you okay? You sir? Yeah, you? Yeah, Diorama. Music for me all depends. I will just go to a shuffle mode on my phone and play all that relaxes me. That's you know what? I'm a big fan of like Pandora. A lot of people like Spotify. I still use Pandora, the free version, and I'll just set it to a channel and go with it, right? I won't change it. There's obviously some ads every once in a while, but it plays it at a mix enough that keeps me mentally, where I want to be when it comes to music. I do like to have music. Unfortunately, I find myself sometimes building in silence, and then I realize it's not really silent. My brain is actually, I'm talking internally, which is weird as hell. But I have to go turn on some music because the silence bugs me. But yeah, so while he is relieving himself, I'll talk about a few other things that's going on here on the channel. I mentioned earlier that we only have a couple episodes after this left, and then we're going to go into a reunion show that'll probably be in January, probably late January, because I have a few things personally that's coming up. Probably going to be moving here. I say probably, pretty much contractually obligated to move now that we've agreed to buy a new house. So I'll be moving here in the next 30 days. And I've been at this location for like 7 years. We own this house. So I got to move my entire shop, which I do everything in. And then I got to move my entire family to a location where, from a location where they've been all their lives. So it's that emotional attachment. So there's going to be a lot of stresses. So I'm kind of, even though this is ending in a few weeks, kind of glad it's taking a pause before we bring that up, because there's going to be a lot of activity going on that I need some space on. Yeah, congrats or whatever. If you bought a house before, you know that it's not a fun thing. Even though when you go into it, you're like, oh, this is gonna be great, a new place. It's really not. It's more headache than anything. But there are some pros and cons, and it's bigger for my family. And, me and Brandon were talking about this. I probably will be able to build a shop in the back, which would be nice, a legit high school creation shop here in maybe a couple years. I don't know.
Park my camper back there.
Yeah, right. Brandon be able to park his camper back when he comes. But I am now older, and a year ago I hurt my back. I never went to the doctor, but I hurt my back enough that when it's cold, my back hurts. My back hurts today. I can't move like I used to. I can't get down and fix things. So now I got to move through somebody. That means I got to pay someone to move me. And that also hurts too, because I can't do it myself. But yeah, it's a headache, but it's a fresh start. So like I'll get to plan out the new shop. This time not really around as things come in. I know everything I have, so I can kind of plan it. And I want to do a hub and spoke kind of plan where like my build table's in the middle and everything's around it. So all the different tools are around it. And I think that'll help me build quicker and more efficiently. So I try to plan accordingly to that, with a little bit of some extra things like a dust collector and better exhaust. And I'm going to build a bigger paint booth. Take what I've learned building this shop and then apply it to the new shop from an operations perspective. And I think that'll help me. And then, my wife can handle the rest of the stuff. I'll just pay for whatever. But yeah, that's what's happening. Okay, I killed some time for Brandon to come back from his relief. And we'll roll into the next question. And this last question will probably be the last question for Brandon. I know he's getting tired of my questions here, but
I got nowhere to be.
Oh, good. Then I got about 5 more questions. Okay. What superpower would you have and why?
Oh, invisibility because I'm evil or flight because I'm good. Isn't that what everyone says?
Oh, yeah, sure.
No, but
Evil. Evil is what I would say. Yes.
yeah. Is it that, like they always say? Would you rather have the power of flight, or would you have the power of invisibility? And if you choose invisibility, you can only use it for negative stuff. Man, like if I had a superpower, I would 100% just go with Wolverine's healing factor.
That's a good one.
Because I mean, why not? Like, I would do whatever I want. I like to do adventurous stuff to begin with, you know. And then if you just couldn't kill me in the meantime, perfect. Like if I'm going to fall down a mountain, because I've been up mountains that I'm afraid I'm going to fall down and die because I don't particularly want to die, at least not now. And I definitely don't want to. Yeah, and I don't want to get like mediocrely like beat up where like my arms are broken or my legs are broken or whatever. Like that sounds awful. So if that stuff could just fix itself right away, perfect. All the better for it.
See, I think I would more or less be more like something along the lines of Cyborg, or if you remember that high school where they were like a superhero high, was it superhero high or whatever, the techno girl. I would be more along that lines because then you can make all that stuff happen, but through technology. So you could do even more. You could fly through technology. You could make weapons through technology. You could heal yourself through technology. I feel like technology is the answer. So I would control technology.
This is the old school guy that works on hatchets and stuff like that. Like I just want my bones to just fix themselves. I don't want like I don't want my fingertips to connect to the internet. I was going to say something else, connect to the internet and all that sort of stuff. I'm already too connected to the internet. I don't want to be more connected to the internet. Technology is too much. Mind control is a great idea, but it will not help me if I fall down and break limbs.
Right.
But it is a wonderfully evil sort of superpower.
It is probably one that I would like to have, but with technology, I would create nanobots, and the nanobots would control the people. Technology manipulating if I can talk, manipulating technology is the end answer because with nanobots you can do everything. You could be Tony Stark, you could heal, you can control people, you can do all these things through technology.
Does it make you live longer?
Yes, because the nanobots keep me young.
Okay.
Yes. They rejuvenate. Anyway, moving on to the next question. Name something you love and why.
Something I love. I've made it clear, my family, all that sort of stuff. Let's pick something that's like more fun. Looking around.
Your fan. I'm sure you like that fan because it's pointing at your window.
Isn't it funny?
Why is it pointing at your window?
Because when I make the leashes, you have to melt them with some sort of a torch, and it off gases and it stinks. And I do it in my office, so the fan blows the stink out. So for that reason, I do love the fan. I love here. I'm just going to zoom up a little bit here. Wait for that to focus in. So I love
action figures.
Where's my finger? This. I love this. This was something that started off. My wife got it from her and my daughter, and it says, "I love you 3000, Daddy," reference to obviously Tony Stark. And then I printed you can't really see it. It looks much better in real life, but the Iron Man print behind it, and then framed it and all that sort of stuff. I love that thing. And honestly, like out of all the things that I have, all the things I own, all the things that are mine or whatever, I think my camper is what I love the most because it is literally every weekend throughout the entire summer. It's just the three of us and our dogs just in this little, tin can of a living quarters, out in nature, just kind of living and being together. So that's probably my favorite thing, because it's what keeps or brings my family together in a way that we wouldn't be able to if I didn't have it.
Nice. Yeah, the camper seems awesome, and something that I definitely want to explore with the family when they're older, because it seems really cool, and it seems like a lot of places cater to the campers nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. What is your dream project?
So I would say that my dream project is to be able to do something, whatever it is, like everything that I do, I would love to be able to do it in a way that benefits someone in need. So if it's the leashes, my dream project, leashes, dog stuff, my dream project is to be able to partner or do something in a way that helps like shelter animals. Obviously our dogs are rescues. So I would love to have some sort of project that allows me to help shelter animals. The other projects that I work on, it would just be helping anyone in need, right? Like the dream project is to be able to do what I love, be able to provide for myself and my family, but also, and most importantly, like do something for someone else who needs that, whatever it might be, however it might be, to help them.
It's very nice of you, Brandon.
I'm out here for the people.
So if you had to limit it though to like one type of genre or thing, what would it be? Like what kind of craft would it be?
Like if I could only do one thing?
Yeah.
Do I get to be, is it guaranteed that I'm going to be successful in it?
Well, in this dream, yeah. You are successful in it.
All right. So in the dream of like, I get to do one thing and be successful in it, it's my photography. It's something that I've loved for years and years and years. So just to give a little background, my father was, he was into photography during he was in Vietnam. So when he served in Vietnam, he was into photography then. He was a crime photographer for the police department in Buffalo. So, was big into photography at that point as well. And so I guess that kind of just like fueled me. And so anything I could do with photography, be successful and, contribute to like the overall well-being of the world, taking pictures, man, sign me up for it. I'll do it all day. I don't need to even make money at that point. Like as long as I'm just doing something awesome.
I just need to send you some diorama pieces and let you start clicking some pictures of some figures.
Dude,
get you on that bug.
You know how badly I want to. So okay, for the comic folks that are in the chat that are watching right now, one of my favorite storylines is something that was just done in Titans, the show, if anyone watches it, but is the Red Hood storyline, right? Like, and I have the view of like Batman holding little dead Robin, and then this the Joker just beating him to death with a crowbar. Like that whole story is just so phenomenal, and the fact that like people voted on it and like wanted him to die is fantastic as well for anyone who's familiar with that story. But like I would love to photograph that in I need the warehouse, the whole thing. Like you don't have to build me a warehouse, but like I can make it work. But I would love to try. I've never done. That's one thing that I would love to do. Yes, Titans is getting better each season. Oh my God, I don't want to do any spoilers, Marcus, but man, there was feels in season 3. Hawk and Dove is phenomenal. Like that whole thing. I'm not giving anything away, but you'll know what I'm talking about, Marcus. So yeah, that is something that I would love to do more of. And I don't have the equipment necessarily. I have the photography equipment, but I don't have the other pieces to do the sort of action figure photography. Yeah.
Well, I got no figures. If you need some figures, let me know.
I got the figures I need for this. I need the space. Just loan it to me. Send it to me. I'll photograph it.
Space?
Yeah, I need the diorama, man.
Diorama. I was like, I can't give you space.
No, I
can't
can.
give you diorama.
I can take my whole my
You need a
whole
warehouse. You need a warehouse.
Yeah, well, in the original story, that's where it happened. He walks in, Joker beats him to death with the crowbar, big explosion in the warehouse. He leaves. I don't need to do the rebirth with the Ra's al Ghul shit, but those pieces of it, are what's important.
I did recently see Red Hood is one of my favorite characters, and I don't know if that was inspired by you or not. A lot of stuff seems to be inspired by you, but I did the cosplay. But I did notice in the Titans, I was looking through something on, was it HBO or something the other night, and I saw Titans, and I saw Red Hood at the bottom of the caption. I was like, wait, Red Hood's in this now? Like that's new, right? He's not been in
This
all
season,
the seasons.
season 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
So
makes sense.
have you watched any of it?
No.
Oh yeah, you start from the beginning. I love DC. You and I don't know if you remember this conversation, but you and I had a conversation one night. We were camping. It was you and I and a couple other guys, and you and I were like diehard supporting DC. And I'm not like a DC fanboy. I think if I were, if my barometer was going one way or another, it would be leaning towards Marvel in general. But like there is a lot to love about DC that I think it just gets like underplayed or isn't really well represented. But Titans and even Doom Patrol on HBO Max are probably two of the best representations, in my opinion, of DC comics. And I was a big Arrowverse guy, like when Arrow and Flash first came out, but it just burned out really fast for me.
Yeah, you watched all the WB stuff, didn't you?
I did. But it burned out, and the storylines kind of went awry. But the stuff that they're doing with Titans, and like I said, to a smaller degree, Doom Patrol's fun, but Titans is phenomenal. Like it's just exactly what I would want. I think Nightwing is well cast and is just like really well done throughout this series so far. I think it's all really good.
Dope. Yeah, you're enabling me to check it out. I've not paid attention to it. Okay, Marcus Shee is also agreeing. Stargirl, Superman, Lois are some of the better CW. I used to watch a lot of those. I definitely watched. This is probably, I don't know a lot of people like, but Smallville was. I used to watch Smallville back in the day. I did watch Flash. Somebody was saying, my nephew was saying that Gotham. He's like on season 3 or 4. Gotham has gotten really good. I did not like it in season 1, but he said it's really gotten good. And he's
done
like
now, though,
years
right?
old. Maybe he was watching on Netflix. He's only like 13, but he said he loves it, and I was like, shit, I'll check it out. So there's some DC stuff that maybe didn't get a lot of hype. That's actually pretty good out there. I would encourage checking out.
I hate that the one thing I hate about DC and that Marvel just does so much better is that there's no consistency, right? Like it's all the whole DC world is like there's the Arrowverse, there's the the DC movies, the Snyderverse, there's the Titans verse or whatever, and there's some crossover in between them, but Marvel just does such a better, like, I don't know if anyone or everyone has watched Hawkeye yet. It's phenomenal. I'm a big fan of it. I had to reread all the comic books. I actually loved that Hawkeye storyline that was in the comics. The show is following a lot of tweaks from what they did because fitting into the Marvel universe, but I think it's fantastic, and I love that it encourages me to go back and read this source material again for Hawkeye, because he's one of my favorites, especially that series.
What channel or what station or what thing is that
on? Disney Plus, man.
When did that come out? When did that drop?
It just dropped. I think this past Wednesday.
Okay, because
first 2 episodes were last Wednesday. Next one will come next Wednesday.
Well, I just got done watching He-Man. He-Man Part 2 just dropped, and I watched. Have you been watching He-Man?
No, I watched the first, but I haven't watched the second yet.
Yeah, I binged that the other night. I watched. We're gonna go into the movie and TV section now, guys. I watched Finch. So
I haven't watched it yet.
My family went to Edisto for Thanksgiving, both sides, and my wife stayed there Thursday night. Today's Friday or Saturday. Wow, it's been a couple days. But Thursday night, I stayed home by myself, and I binged a few things. I finished watching Revelations Part 2. I watched Finch. I don't know if you've seen Finch. And then I watched Joe Bell. All very sad at the end. Joe Bell is Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg.
And he goes on a walk for his son. His son was he committed suicide after being bullying for being different than the others. But at the end of Finch, there was this sad father type thing, which led into 8-Bit. I don't know if you've seen 8-Bit yet.
Oh, I haven't watched it. It's got good reviews. So that's with Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, it's also good, and it had this father thing at the end. And then I was like, oh man, I'm by myself, missing my kids. Oh, here's Joe Bell. So I watched Joe Bell, and I kind of went on this sad father thing by myself, Thanksgiving night. But they were all great movies, and I definitely encourage people to go watch those. But Hawkeye, I missed out on it. Everybody's saying Hawkeye is great, so
yeah, definitely worth watching. Ooh, okay, yeah, I did really like Master Universe, the first part. Kevin Smith did a good job with that, and it's interesting. I like that they released the Kevin Smith, and then they had the other one, right? Did you watch that, Mike? The other Master Universe,
more animated version, kind of like kids. Yeah, I watched that up to, I think I got to like episode 10 or 11. I've not finished it. It was in itself, it's cool. I like what they did with the characters. Yeah, like what they did with storyline. I don't honestly remember He-Man from as a kid. I remember being more of a play to capture figures from Mattel outside of Barbie's. I mean, exactly what it was. Maybe I'm too adult or something at that age. But I didn't watch He-Man as much as I don't know. I like it more now as an adult, which is weird. But I think it's because it's more adult driven, especially with Kevin Smith doing, revelations or whatever it's called. Revelations. Thank you. Words. So difficult. But I did like, the other one that Netflix did. So, it was different. I like what they did with Tila. I like what they did with Skeletor, especially as, just a demeanor.
Freaking Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill is a freaking...
Well, I was going to say for Revelations, I keep hearing Joker. Like, he doesn't matter. But,
he's so good.
Yeah. So I do like it. And you haven't seen part 2 yet, right? I don't want to spoil it. Anyway, we'll move off. When you see it, let me know. We'll talk about it. But more people... Go ahead.
Did you have more questions for me?
Oh, yeah, I do, actually. What was the most inspiring place that you've ever been to?
That I've ever been to, or that I've ever lived?
Oh, well, I said been to, but lived seemed to pique your interest, so we'll say lived.
I'll give you both. So most inspiring place. All right. So I've lived on the East Coast my entire life. Buffalo, Florida, the West Coast Florida, so Fort Myers, and then Charleston back to Buffalo. So I've been on the East Coast my whole life. Like, the most inspiring place I've ever been is literally anywhere out west. Arizona, Utah. Like, I'm an East Coast guy, born and raised. My heart is in the West. I absolutely love it. I think it's amazing. I would love to be there more often, travel there more often. And that's part of the reason why I got the camper. And part of the reason why Mike enabled me to buy a pickup truck, so that I can go out there more often. Again, my alter ego lives and works in an IT environment and can work from anywhere. So I have the ability to do that. So we're going to get there one day. But so most inspiring place that I've ever been is literally anywhere out west, even Las Vegas, which I think is gross in general, but specifically is just an awesome place to like. I've had such a great time every time I've been there. And then go ahead.
I was going to say, I remember the trip you guys took out there, went out west. And, that was around the time we were rock climbing, because I remember you tried to rock climb some stuff.
I did not do well.
Not do well. But I remember how inspiring, it was for you, and coming back and all the stories you had. So.
Yeah, it's definitely I again goes back to my grandfather, who was the craftsman. He loved the West, and I think that kind of like he instilled that in me at a young age, and it just stuck with me. Places that I lived, the most inspiring was definitely Charleston. I was in a creative, like, net positive when I lived in Charleston. Like, I was going out and taking photos constantly, and I felt like I was creating a lot when I was in Charleston. And not to say that I'm not inspired or do not create here, because I have a whole like list of things that are different with my life here. Child, I have, bigger house, a bigger job, all this sort of baloney. And I lived a little bit smaller when we first moved to Charleston. But there was just a lot to inspire in Charleston. There was a sunrises, sunsets, it was just a beautiful place to live. You're a very lucky person, Mike. I don't ever want to live there again.
Oh,
aside from living near you, which I would love, but I don't care to live there again. But it is a beautiful place, and it does inspire for sure.
Yep, I would agree with that. All right, here someone's asking about the points. Hawkeye is great, and would definitely. I guess I need to check it out. So Disney Plus. How many episodes is it?
Two right now. Third one comes out on Wednesday.
They're doing the release weekly thing.
Yeah.
Netflix is doing that same thing. There's the new League of Legends. I don't know if you watched any of that.
But, Arcane, right? Arcane?
Yeah, Arcane. Yeah. I actually like it. I just am disappointed by the weekly release.
I don't play League of Legends. I've never played it. Well, Warzone,
I don't either. And
yeah, I'm a Warzone guy. Mike, I'm a Warzone guy. If anyone ever wants to see something awesome, go play Black Ops with Mike and have him parachute in. Dude,
I feel like that was only like earlier this year, but that was like 3 years ago, wasn't it? Or like
it was a long time. Yeah. Oh yeah, because Warzone's been out since the pandemic. So, Black Ops was before that.
Y'all still playing anything?
Warzone every like 3 days a week.
Dang, I need to get it on that. I probably suck, just like
That's all right,
but that'd be fun. I try to talk the enablers into doing like a Twitch or something live stream of us playing a game together, because I think that'd be cool, right? Especially as much shit as we talk during the live of the game. But
maybe Avengers. Avengers would be a good game, because you can multiplayer that.
Oh, can
it's
you now?
Multiplayer co-op, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah.
I'd jump in. I'd drop in on that. Yeah, I'd drop in on that for sure.
Jamba saying Hawkeye's Aces. I have to check it out.
I will. I'm going to recommend it right now for anyone who is going to watch Hawkeye, and has not read the comic book that is based off of, which is, I forget who the author or artist was. But if you Google Hawkeye, it's the one with all the purple and the circles and all that sort of stuff. The comic book itself is phenomenal, and it's worth reading. It matches up enough, but not too much with the show, so you're still left with some surprises and that sort of thing, and it's just really good.
So it's based off a particular run. It's not like straight out of the MCU kind of thing. Or?
It's they took that run and then they fit it into the MCU. Is basically what it was. Like they took that run and the things that like I'm not going to give anything away. Okay, so but yes, it's the run of the Hawkeye comic fit into the MCU. So there are alterations that make it make sense in the MCU.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. Cool. As far as questions go, okay. Here'll be the last one. So personally, from your creative stance, like what is your goal over the next 5 years?
The next 5 years is I would love to continue to be successful as my alter ego. And then on the creative side, to continue to kind of grow, iterate, and expand what I'm doing in a way that, like, this is a total like parent family scenario, but like I would love for my wife to not have to do any sort of work except for supporting the work that I'm doing, which means that she does the heavy lifting and I just get to create, right? Like that's really the end goal. So like I get to do my day job and then I get to be creative, and my wife somehow magically turns that creativity into money through whatever means necessary. That's 5 years from now. Like, and I think the real like measure of success would be like 5 years from now, we have that level of success, and then it's so packaged in a way that we can get in the camper. Obviously my daughter has school, so we'll follow the law of the land and whatever my daughter needs to go to school for. But outside of that, like, we just get in the camper and our money continues to stay the same, right? We can be successful wherever we are. I want to be able to travel, as we mentioned, inspired by the West. I want to be able to go out West whenever I want, but still be able to do the same things and provide in the same way that I can when I'm here on the East Coast.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't grind axes on the road though. That's the one tough part. So I'm going to make a bunch of axes, and then everyone just has to buy t-shirts because the t-shirts are cool. Right. That's all I got.
Speaking of, did you make the one you have on right now?
Yeah, I did. Got a couple of these. Yep. There's a bunch of stuff.
I haven't got any from you yet.
You know what's funny? This you're gonna let me see if I can see it. How long is my headset here? Hang on 1 second.
All right, that's the show, guys. He walked away.
I can't reach it. It's funny. I have a little Ziploc baggie, and it has a bunch of stickers. It has a G.I. Joe keychain, and it has a bunch of Buried Hatchets keychains in the Ziploc that I have been meaning to send to your house.
Oh shit!
For like the last, since I started doing
Buried
Hatchets. Yeah, year and a half. Yeah, it's just been sitting in there. I mean, literally, like from like the first week that I started doing it, I had created those things and was ready to send them to you.
Yeah, I know how that goes. I have a diorama and some figures that I'm supposed to send out to people that have won, and it's been way too long. It's shamefully been way too long. Guys, they're coming. I promise. They're packed up. I'm about to get them out anyway. I'm moving, so you'll get them soon. All right. Yeah, someone's saying the Arcane is good. I would agree. I liked it so far. The Sea of Thieves is a fun game. I made some foam decor.
Wait,
we can't see.
I thought I had Sea of Thieves. No, I don't know when I'm losing it. Losing it. I definitely miss camping since my accident. I haven't gone camping, save up the wheelchair and accessible camper. Yeah, I would imagine it's definitely missed. I haven't been camping, and man, I think maybe the last time camping was maybe with you, Brandon. It's been a while. I'm trying to get my son into it. I think there's a certain age that he's going to have to be before we do it, but I want to get into the rooftop tents. I want to get some sort of rack. I may have to call upon your services to research a rack that's suitable to hold a tent in our weight for the truck.
Yeah, for the truck. I don't know if you found one or if you're looking at one. Well, you have a camper, so you probably wouldn't. But
no, I'll say the camper and thinking about the wheelchair accessibility, like it's so interesting, like having that camper and like the freedom that comes with having a camper, and but you take it for granted, right? Because it still requires so much work. And it would be so nice to have something that is flexible, like even just like trying to like, thankfully we don't have this to deal with this year, or sadly we don't have this to deal with this year, but I had dogs that couldn't even go into the camper, so we had to get like an extra ramp and all that sort of stuff. But like, the campers are not designed for folks who don't either have accessibility issues, and hopefully that changes. But man, I love it. I love having the camper. I love being able to get out and do those sorts of things. It just needs to be easier for folks that don't have the same level of accessibility that we do.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm surprised. I mean, I'm sure there are options, but they're not
Sure.
Standard. Right. Cool. Well, that's all the questions I have for tonight. So I appreciate you, Brandon, going through that lineup of interesting questions, and I thank you for your responses. I think they were awesome responses. Let's see what else I got here. I already asked the one from Marcus Yee, so thank you, Marcus. What time do we got? Oh, we're going on 12 o'clock. Dude, 3 hours will go by quick, won't it?
I was very nervous going into this, and I'm not particularly comfortable doing these sorts of things, but no, this has been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, especially when you got good people that are. Sorry, guys, let me keep bouncing. I hit up Marcus's comment. Let me get rid of this. Yeah, so it's actually, time flies, especially when you start talking, especially with people that you have a lot in common with. Time flies by pretty quick. I want to thank you, Brandon, for coming on the show. I know I've been asking for a long time, just even to do a video live conference just to catch up. And we're finally able to do it, through a live, and I strongly appreciate it. I know it's been some time, honestly, you've been a huge support for all my endeavors over the many years, and I have to thank you for that. And I think a lot of where I'm at today is a lot of the support that you give, and you were one of the first people I talked to about doing something creatively, professionally, right? We've always had these dreams, and whether that was through photography or videography or off-roading or whatever, we are always coming up with some sort of scheme. I say scheme lightly, but it really was. I mean, we talked about building off-road vehicles and selling those. We talked about doing them on YouTube, and I've only ever had one other person I talked to that way, and that's 796 Studios. We talk once a week, and we have these just like harebrained ideas, like this mystery box of tools. But Brandon, you were the first person that I've ever had that affiliation or relationship with, and I miss it now that you're gone. Like, you're not local, so we got to connect more, man.
I know, buddy. When you said you were moving, I really thought you were going to move to some small town, upstate New York town that I lived in. But it sounds like, I will say you have some Toronto folks, you got some Canada folks that are here tonight, that we maybe we all meet up here, Buffalo, Niagara Falls. I mean, dude, there's plenty of places.
Yeah, we throw that out actually a few times. Like, I would definitely love to come up there, and whether that's New York or something near Canada, definitely do something on the next little getaway. So that'd be awesome to do. And then this summer, we're gonna come up as a family and just hold down the house. Especially, I feel a little.
You bring your family. We can always leave the kids and the wives, and you and I can go do whatever. We got the space. You come up here, do it.
Yeah, man. We'll definitely have to do it this time around, and hopefully the kids stay healthy or whatever.
Yes.
But one thing I'm thankful for is, like, even though all this shit's went off, like, and whoever's gotten whatever, whoever's gotten whatever, everybody I know has been pretty much healthy for the throughout this pandemic. There's not been any major losses from friends or family, and very thankful for that. So hopefully we're getting closer to way cooler than Prime. He wouldn't get that. But yeah, Prime's just the arcade guy. But yeah, I think it'd be dope. We should get out there. We should do some New York time, soon, and definitely gonna come up, hang out with the family. Got to do that, this
Yep.
spring or summer. But
Yeah, if I mean, now that I've done it once, I'm down. I feel comfortable now. If your community would like to have me back one day, I would be willing to come here, drink beer, and talk about stuff, and whatever. Yeah, for sure.
Well, what I didn't tell you is there is a reunion show that'll happen. So everybody that was on season 2 comes back for the reunion with everybody.
You didn't tell me.
I didn't tell you that.
You didn't want me to be on it.
So surprise, and yeah, 16 plus people plus whoever the guests are for. It should be fun. So we'll do that in January. So yeah, feel comfortable. And then I've told people this, and people know that there's not going to be a season 3 of Diorama Talk. I'm just work is going to take over, but that doesn't mean the YouTube channel is going away. There won't be random lives with people. So people like Brandon, people like the other friends in the community will be on to just hash it out. As of right now, there will not be a season 3 anytime soon. But want to keep it going on YouTube. So even though it's sad, even though this is ending, there's still some life in the YouTube channel. With that though, guys, I think that's going to end the live for tonight. Before we go, we're just going to say our goodbyes. See you soon. Come back, please. Yes, so everybody wants you back, Brandon. You can see the comments.
You.
Yeah. So Brandon, for those that want to find out more about Brandon or Buried Hatchet, where can they find you? What social medias are you on?
Oh man, the only things I actually do are Buried Hatchets will be starting up again, probably with a pumpkin smashing video in 6 to forever weeks. My dog's name is Maxwell _ Super Mutt. Again, that's something I hide behind. It's me posting photos of him, but I don't ever post photos of myself, nor do I ever reference myself. And then I'm working on another one called I don't even have to. I have to look up the name of it, and I'll send it to you, Mike. But it's like camp showers and cold beers. That's a thing that I started doing where I would take a shower at a campsite and drink a beer while I'm in the shower and review both the shower at the campsite and the beer that I'm drinking. I think people will be really into that, or I'm into it.
Is this a live?
No,
are you doing this live?
It could be. Okay, it depends on what the fans want. Just a full skin suit, just in there, getting it. Yeah, so I'm all over the place, but honestly, Buried Hatchets is going to be the best place to reach me. The leashes and all that sort of stuff is to come, but it's going to be called Rust Belt Pet Provisions. So there's going to be Rust Belt Pet Provisions coming out soon. There's going to be shirts and all that sort of swaggy stuff to go along with it. But the leashes are going to be the main thing, keeping our dogs safe and that sort of thing. But yes, right now, Buried Hatchets is the place to be to reach out to me. But ping me anywhere, I'll find it somewhere.
What's funny about the Maxwell Instagram is you pinged me not too long ago. Said, hey, you're already following this. Did you know it was me? And I was like, I had no clue it was you. But yeah, I was following the Instagram account. So your dog is more famous than you are.
Yeah. You follow the dog and you're just like, yeah, this is awesome. And you're like, what kind of douchebag doesn't even show himself in front of this dog? And you're like, but this dog's way cooler than whatever person it is. And that person was me. It's me.
Oh man. Well, it's been a complete joy to have you on here, Brandon. I think everybody's, been very fun night. People definitely want you to come back. You guys go check him out. Go check out Buried Hatchet. Give him a like, give him a follow over on Instagram. He does have a YouTube channel. He doesn't post very much, but hopefully that'll change in the future. I'm going to inspire you to at least post some videos since you, dude, it seems to be opposite these days. Of some of that stuff, but I thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you for supporting. the artist. And thank you for supporting this channel. Thank you for coming out and seeing us. And make sure you share the video, you give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all those good things. Let's try to meet those milestones for the end of the season 2 so I can give these things away. I really want to give them to you guys. And there's no reason to do it because I'm ending season 3. It's not like I'm trying to, or season 2. I'm not trying to keep going. I just want to give you guys some stuff to meet in those milestones. So if you can help us out, subscribe, like, share, all those things to get us there so I can give these things away that I promised I would. Don't leave me hanging here. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it. Have a happy, well, it's Sunday for a lot of locations now. Sunday, Saturday, good weekend. We'll see you next week. Geek Chicks on X-Manny Shop. You might know that name. Next week. It's going to be a good time. And that's really it, guys. So have a great week. We'll see you again next week. Bye. Oh, I got to